Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
What do we have? No intro music this week? What is this? We don't have any intro. Robert, this is 100% your fault. 100%.
How's it my fault when I don't control the switchboard or the computer, Eric?
You didn't pay the rent this week? What's going on?
This is 100% Robert's fault.
Oh, wow. I don't have access to the switchboard or the computer. This is strictly Eric's
like,
deal.
You know what? This is like watching public access cable when you got this host out of nowhere, nothing plays. It's nothing. Where is my music? Unbelievable. Unacceptable. Unacceptable Blog Talk. And you know what that means? Free month. We are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. I keep holding out, waiting for that thing to play because it's probably on delay or something stupid. My name is Eric Lorta. I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. You want to call in and ask any questions? Hopefully the phone lines are open. Hopefully they're doing that over there. 323-870-3857. We'll be here till around 9 tonight, or maybe sooner. It's been a light fight week, let me tell you. Today, we're going to talk about the big George Groves and Chris Eubank Jr. fight. This is going to be good, and we'll have it covered from all angles. We'll break it down for you. Evander Holyfield is getting ready for his upcoming bout with Uncle Sam. And Adrian Broner finds himself in a familiar spot. But first, we get started with the UFC Fight Pass. Roy Jones Jr. on the UFC Fight Pass. Roy Jones Jr. versus Scott Sigmon. In his final fight, Roy Jones Jr. was victorious by the scores of 98-92. All three judges. I gotta be honest. I had a chance to watch this fight. Jones did not look good in this fight, but was definitely better than Scott Sigmon. Jones looked like a shell of his former self. Jones said coming into the fight, he had a torn bicep. I don't think it would have mattered if he was 100%. I mean, number one, he's still going to beat Scott Sigmon. Number two, he really should stop fighting. He didn't look stellar, to say the least. Jones did say this was his last fight, unless a deal can be reached, to face former middleweight champion of the world, Anderson Silva. Now, you may be asking, who is Anderson Silva? He was the UFC middleweight champion and considered by many to be the best ever in the UFC. Jones and Silva have always wanted to box each other. Anderson Silva is currently under suspension for, juice, performance-enhancing drugs, horse pills, whatever you want to call them. Beeb, is Roy Jones the best ever?
I don't think he is, but still a great fighter.
He is a very good fighter. Who, in your opinion, would you put in that cat? Because he says he's the best ever. Who do you think is the best ever? Can you make a case for anybody being the best ever?
It's totally subjective.
Yeah.
My best ever is going to be totally different than your best ever. I take like fighters and I put them in classes, whether they be great, elite. That's how I kind of judge. Like a very good fighter, a great fighter, an elite fighter. World-class level. I mean, when we use the word overrated, it has a negative connotation to it. And it really shouldn't, because you could be very good or even great, and someone could classify you as elite. And if enough people disagree with your assessment of, classifying a fighter as elite, then, it could be the fighter could be characterized as being overrated. Now, this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but one of the most overrated fighters of all time, in my opinion, in this era, or pretty much this era, who's ending his era, in my opinion, is Manny Pacquiao. That doesn't mean he's not a great fighter. That does not mean he wasn't one of the best in his era. But when you have people who put him as an all-time great, people saying that he was better, like even Bob Arum and a lot of people saying that he was better than Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, fighters of that in that era, Pernell Whitaker, whatever. I just don't see it. That's just my opinion. And, you know, you could say 7 weight classes and 8-time world champion, but, you know, one of those titles was a ring title. A lot of them were vacant titles. One of them was an IBO title. I don't know if you want to count that. No. And that's not to diminish what he's done. That's not to diminish anything, you know, anything he's done. But, you know, he fought a lot of fighters that were out of their prime. And, you know, the same thing has been said about Floyd Mayweather, but it just doesn't get applied to Manny Pacquiao. So in that sense, I think Manny Pacquiao is an overrated fighter. That doesn't mean I don't think he's a great fighter. It doesn't mean that I don't think he's an elite fighter for his era. But I think that he was overrated. Just my opinion.
Wow.
Is Roy Jones overrated? Maybe a tad. I mean, I don't think that you know, he's I mean, maybe you could. I don't even know if you could say he's the best super middleweight of all time. Could you say that? I think you can make a case that Joel Calzaghe would have beaten him. And then people say, well, when Joel Calzaghe fought him, you know, Roy Jones wasn't in his prime. Neither was Joel Calzaghe. Neither was Joel Calzaghe. So that's the thing. So one of my favorite fighters of all time in super middleweight, I think you can make a strong case for it. I may even go as far as to say maybe Joel Calzaghe was the best super middleweight of all time.
That's hard. It's hard to argue. Do you think Roy Jones
46-0, man?
Yeah. Do you think Roy Jones could have beat Andre Ward at 175?
I'm not sure. I don't.
No, I don't think so.
I would favor Andre Ward.
Really? I would favor Jones all day in that fight, man.
And you can make a good argument for that too. I'm not saying you can't, but I would favor Andre Ward.
That's good, man. You mentioned Manny Pacquiao, and I was just thinking about like fantasy type fights or whatever. Just could you imagine like Manny Pacquiao versus Roberto Duran at lightweight or something like that?
Oh my God, Duran would kill him.
Let me ask you this, and please refresh my memory, because we did that fantasy tournament, which I really had a great time doing. You made it really fun for me because I'm not really a guy that likes those,
sure,
you know, I'm not a guy that really is a big fan of the dream fights, but I actually had fun doing that series with you. And Manny Pacquiao was in that tournament. Did he win that tournament?
I think we stopped it. We didn't finish it.
Did we finish? Didn't he get knocked out of it?
Finish.
Yeah, we never finished it.
Did Manny Pacquiao get knocked out?
No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did right off. I got to go look at it. I got to go look at the results. I don't remember.
Would Manny Pacquiao have beaten Sugar Ray Robinson?
Yeah, for sure. You think you watch Sugar Ray Robinson fight?
Yeah. And
you put him against anybody in this era, and he gets washed. He gets washed. I mean, I really think so.
I think certain fighters could beat him. I don't think Manny Pacquiao is one of them. I just think that he was 6 feet. He was fast on his feet. He was a great boxer, and he was crafty, and he worked off a jab, and he knew how to use range. And let's not forget, he was undefeated at welterweight, never lost at welterweight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would favor him against Manny Pacquiao. Would I favor Sugar Ray Leonard over Sugar Ray Robinson? I think Sugar Ray Leonard could possibly beat him. I think Floyd Mayweather would have a chance against him. I believe that. Manny Pacquiao, I don't, because I just see Manny Pacquiao can be outboxed. He's been outboxed before, you know, and he's never a big puncher at 147. How many knockouts does he have at 147?
Well, and I think like guys like Pernell Whitaker walk Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think they walk Manny Pacquiao because he's always going to have problems with that kind of fighter. Robert, what about you? Now let's ask you here. What do you think about Roy Jones? If this is indeed his last fight, where does he go down in history? Clearly a Hall of Famer. I have him as the best pound for pound for me ever. For me, he's the best pound for pound fighter ever. I don't see anybody in his prime ever beating him.
The problem I have, Eric, with that, I would agree with you, but the problem I have with it is I think Roy Jones Jr.'s career took a nosedive, honestly, after he won the heavyweight title.
Well, sure.
Against John Ruiz, and then decided to go all the way back down to 175. He never looked the same after that.
Right. I mean, and that's what we you know, but like I was talking to Beeb before the show, and we talked about that fight, the Tarver fight. A lot of people forget there was 2 Tarver fights. He won the first one, you know, but he didn't look the same. He didn't look the same as he did before. So yeah, I mean, after that, especially after the second Tarver fight, he was washed because he got knocked out by Glenn Johnson. So he was done by then. But talking about in his prime at one, you know, when he beat James Toney, when he went up to 168. But the one thing in Roy Jones' career, like we were saying, and Beeb had brought up too, like Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, those are the guys we wanted to see him fight.
Jared McClellan.
Darius Mikulszewski was the fight I always wanted to see him fight.
He never fought those guys, and he never fought, what's his name, from Germany either. Oh, God, what
Eric just mentioned him.
Darius, Mikulszewski,
Yeah.
The other guy, who was the other guy from Germany?
Yeah, I think
Benno Tecchi.
I don't know if boxing politics had a lot to do with it in his day, but I think Roy avoided those guys. And if you want to be considered an all-time great, which he's going to be because he's going to walk into the Hall of Fame when he's eligible, but I have trouble with fighters avoiding fighters just because, you know, they don't want to fight them for whatever reason. Well, I have issues with that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I remember in his career, he said, you know, he wasn't going to go to Germany to fight Mikulszewski. And, you know, the bottom line is he washes Nigel Benn, he washes Mikulszewski, and he washes Chris Eubank without any problems.
I don't know.
But the thing is, you know what? We'll never know. We'll never know because he never took those risks.
Never fought Joe Calzaghe at 168 either.
That's a big problem.
And you know what's so crazy? He said back in those times, as you said, he didn't want to go overseas.
Right.
But then when he started losing, and he didn't have to protect that O anymore, and he was out of his prime. Where did he go? He went to Australia to fight Danny Green. Then he went to Russia to fight. What's his name there? Who's the guy that knocked him out? The cruiserweight. Oh my God! Well, he got knocked out.
Danny Green, wasn't it?
No, another one. The other guy. The Russian.
I know you're talking about too.
Mundine. Tony Mundine.
No, that Mundine. The other guy there, the Russian guy. Someone in the chat help me out. I can't even believe I'm drawing a blank here. He was a cruiserweight champion. I think he was a WBC cruiserweight champion. But he got knocked out with a vicious uppercut in that fight. He was losing that fight. And then he started going over there, and he had no problem doing that after when he was out of his prime, you know, and he was, you know, had no choice but, you know, to get paid, he had to go. When he didn't have the leverage anymore, then he had no problem going over there. But when it was time to challenge himself, he didn't want to go over there. I'm gonna go on Roy Jones's box book now. I gotta find.
Isn't it Marco Hook? The other one he lost to, the other cruiserweight.
No, it was a Russian dude. I can't remember his name either.
I'm gonna pull it up, and I can't even believe I can't remember his name. I'm ashamed of myself. Let me pull it up right here.
No.
But then he lost to Macronelli too. Got knocked out in 4 rounds against him. That was in the UK. Denis Lebedev, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
He's a good fighter. I mean, a very good fighter. But, I mean, that's the other thing. Enzo Macronelli was the other one. That's the other thing.
So he had no problem going over afterwards, you know.
I mean, he's taken, you know, again, and this is way past his prime, but these are tough guys too. But, yeah, anybody with any kind of class, any kind of, like, middle-of-the-road fighter, I think, would beat him now. He looked very slow in the fight last night. And don't get me wrong. I mean, he, you know, obviously could still take me or Beeb. I don't know about Robbie. Robbie would probably take him, but definitely.
Always take me. I'm not even in his weight class.
You know, runs over me. That's for sure. You know, but that's what he reminded me of. He reminded me of like a guy you see in the gym that's like really slick and everything like that, but he's older. You know, that's what he reminded me of. He didn't look like the Roy Jones of old, man. And he was trying to do some of the same moves and stuff, and it just wasn't working. I don't want to see him fight unless he fights Anderson Silva. That a fight I would watch because both of them are kind of, you know, I think that's a what is it, the IRA fight or the you know, what is it, the geriatric fight?
The
Social Security
the
fight
problem with Roy is we all haven't forgot.
We haven't forgotten. There you go. So Roy Jones, there you go. All right, on Robbie's favorite station, BN Sports in Espanol. Miguel Berchelt versus Maxwell Awuku. Berchelt wins via third round TKO. You know, this was weird. People were talking about this is a weird fight, man, because Awuku didn't look bad in this fight. He actually looked like a good boxer for the first 2 rounds. He looked very well schooled. He was staying in there, you know, kept his hands in the right place, moved correctly, you know, but it's like we always say, man, there's levels to this thing, man, you know, and Berchelt was just on another level. You know, Awuku wasn't ready for this kind of boxer, man. The fight went pretty much according to plan for Berchelt, man. It was a kind of a squash match here. But, you know, that in that third round, everything was going fine. And then Berchelt hit him with an overhand right. And it didn't even look like that big of a punch. I mean, I could understand it maybe putting him down, but he was done after that. I mean, he got knocked down 2 more times. The fight was eventually stopped. And what do you do, man? I don't know what's next for Berchelt, but Beeb, what were your thoughts on this fight?
You know, it's funny you say that, because when I was watching this fight, I was saying, yeah, but, you know, Berchelt's probably going to win this fight, but this may go the distance. This may be like a 116, 112 type fight. That's the way it looked like it was shaping up.
Yeah, right?
That's what I thought. I thought that it was going to be a pretty decent fight. But the thing is this. When you think about it, you know, the first 2 rounds were fought pretty even terms. So, you know, Berchelt maybe landed a few more shots. But, you know, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Awuku? Okay.
Yeah.
No offense to him. But Awuku, you know, he was kind of opening up his shots just a little hair wide. And the thing is, Berchelt was punching inside his combinations. So that's what I think, you know, when you're throwing a combination as a fighter and another fighter is punching with you, you're not in a defensive posture and you're not really bracing yourself, or you're not prepared to take the punch. So because you're in that type of stance and in that type of position, you're not going to be as ready for the shot. Maybe a punch that is not as hard as a normal knockout punch would be could catch you off guard, hit you in that sweet spot, and because you're leaning forward a little bit and you're not really bracing yourself for it, you don't see it coming because you're thinking offense, not defense. I think that's what really was the reason for the damage. And you're right, it didn't look like a hellacious punch, but again, it was just perfectly timed. You know what I mean? And he just shortened it up just enough where you could slip it through. It was a perfectly placed shot. And sometimes when you have those perfectly placed shots where the fighter is threading the needle, those are, you know, surprise shots, and they can get a real positive response and, you know, cause a lot of damage on a fighter who's not prepared to deal with the punch. And that's what happened. And he never recovered.
Yeah,
which was surprising.
Yeah, I thought so too. It was like I said. I mean, when they first, you know, that first round was definitely a feel out round. But yeah, I thought we're heading for 116, 112, 117, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But, man, yeah, I didn't expect that at all. And nothing. I mean, Berchelt looked good, but he didn't look. You know, I mean, I was surprised he got him out of there. Put it that way. So we'll see what's next for him. I don't know. They talked about unifying the titles or something like that, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Non-televised fight of the week: Hank Lundy, your boy, versus DeMarcus Chop Corley. The fight went the distance, and Hank Lundy won a unanimous decision by the scores of 73.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. And 79-72 twice. You know, not much to say about this. It was an 8-round fight. Lundy wins. I don't know.
I'd be allergic to that too, Beeb.
And I like Hank Lundy a lot. It's just that
it's
tough situations.
Well, I would like to see him, if he's going to step up, I'd like to see him step up. But a lot of this is his management too. You know, a lot of it's his management. So what can you do? Hey guys, we talked about this last week. Everybody was talking about the Super Bowl. Robert, who did you have for the Super Bowl? Who did you say was going to win?
I said the Patriots, and I lost.
Beeb, who did you have?
I had the Patriots, of course, being from the New England area.
100%, 100%.
I have to support my team. And why wouldn't I support my team if my team is as great as the Patriots, right?
I agree. Beeb, who picked Tony Bellew over David Hay?
Oh my God! Here we go.
That's a year old. Come on. Who picked Tyson Fury over Vladimir Klitschko?
Who picked Canelo to knock out Todd?
Who picked Miguel Cotto over Sergio Martinez?
Who picked the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl?
You did.
There it is. I told you guys I wouldn't.
On a little streak, though.
My word. What's that?
You know what? You are on a little streak, and again, I'm not trying to gas you up, but one
streak. That's like saying the Pope is a little Catholic. Are you kidding me? This is a monstrous streak.
One thing I like,
unknown to man. This puts Julio Cesar Chavez's streak of 80 wins to shame. This is a streak that is what they call
89-0, Eric, before he lost.
This is a streak what they call monumental.
And one thing I like about your picks, you don't pick the chalk every time. You take underdogs. Bellew was a significant underdog. The Eagles were an underdog. There was another underdog pick that you picked that I was very impressed with. If you can refresh my memory, there was another recent pick.
There were so many of them, I don't know that I can.
But I'm picking my underdog for next week. Not to change the subject, I like George Groves in that fight. Plus 175. I'm taking George Groves.
Beeb loves to lose. Because I'm taking Chris Eubank in that fight.
Groves is a good fighter, Beeb, but he ain't gonna win this one.
No, look at Robbie.
I'm in the minority here with my pick. No one is giving him a shot. I like George Groves.
All right. Well, since we're on the topic, let's talk about the upcoming fights next week because the fight schedule this week sucked.
That was bad.
Terrible. It was terrible. All right. Let's get this going. On February 16th, that's a Friday, right, Robert?
Friday. Yep.
On
Friday.
ESPN. Top Rank. They come out with a stellar card. This might be the card of the week. Raimundo Beltran.
I don't know about that.
Versus Paulus Moses. 12 rounds for the vacant WBO lightweight title. I'd rather watch trees grow in my backyard.
Beltran will win that easily.
Who cares? I mean, really, who cares about that fight? That's the main event. That should tell you everything you need to know. David Avanesian is fighting the guys. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Ejidus Kavalauskas. I don't know. I give up. It doesn't matter. He's going to lose. Shakur Stevenson versus Juan Tapia. He'll be on there. 8 rounds, featherweights. And Bryant Bye-Bye Jennings will be on there as well against Merlamov.
Okay.
Yeah. Not. That's one of those cards that, if I catch it, I catch it. If I don't, it just happened. All right. Now, February 17th on Showtime from Las Vegas, Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios, 12 rounds. It's a WBC title eliminator. On the undercard, David Benavidez versus Ronald Gavril. It's a rematch, 12 rounds for Benavidez' WBC super middleweight title. Let's see here. Ray Robinson versus Yordanis Ugas, 12 rounds for the IBF welterweight eliminator. And those are pretty much the names I recognize from that card. Now, in El Paso on Fox Deportes, I think that's earlier on in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
That'll be on regular Fox also, Eric.
Right. Devin Alexander versus Victor Ortiz, 12 rounds welterweights. And Caleb Plant versus Porky Medina, 12 rounds for the IBF super middleweight eliminator. Austin Trout and Tony Harrison are also on that undercard, not fighting each other, of course. Let's see here. And we'll go back and talk about these fights in a minute here. From Manchester, England, the big one next week. This is the big one, man. This is it. From Manchester, England. Right. Yeah, go to it'll probably be showed on Box Nation or Sky. I'm gonna try to catch a YouTube of it because you know what? World Boxing Super Series, if they stream it, which I don't see why they wouldn't. If they stream it, then I'm going to go ahead and we'll put it on the website, and you can go to ringsidereporter.com and watch it there because we'll just take the stream and do that from YouTube. George Groves versus Chris Eubank Jr., 12 rounds for Groves' WBA super middleweight title. It's the World Boxing Super Series semifinals. And on that undercard, nobody really of note. Zach Parker versus Adesat Rodriguez, Tommy Langford versus Jack Arnfield, Ryan Walsh versus Isaac Lowe. Not really anything of note. All right, so let's start with the fights here. Let's start with the Danny Garcia Brandon Rios fight. I like Danny Garcia's by like murder in this one. No way they would have picked anybody. No way they would have picked anybody. If Brandon Rios was, they thought he had a chance, he wouldn't be in there. Yeah, Garcia's going to murk this kid. Brandon Rios' best days are way in the rear view. And, I don't want to be disrespectful, but even on his best day, he would have had trouble with Danny Garcia. So the fact that he's a lot older now and he's a lot more worn now than he was, it's definitely going to be an uphill climb. I take Danny Garcia on this one. Robert, what say you?
I've lost a lot of respect for Danny Garcia. He says he wants to fight the best, and and I don't know if Al Heyman is choosing these guys or whether Danny is purposely choosing some of these opponents. This is too easy for Danny. Brandon Rios is way below his level. And I just don't understand what direction his career is going in. He'll win this with his eyes closed. Hopefully he'll end it as soon as possible. I don't want to see this thing go hardly any rounds at all. I think this is a waste of TV time. And yet the best fight of the weekend, we don't get on TV. And I think that sucks.
Wow. Robert, you're very harsh today. Very harsh. Beeb, what do you think about this fight?
It's hard to really get excited for this fight. And again, I like Brandon Rios a lot. Very nice guy. Granted me several interviews. Always picks up the phone. But that doesn't mean anything when it comes to how he's going to do in this fight. Try to be as respectful as I can. I don't understand the significance of this fight. I don't understand the purpose of this fight. Danny Garcia is coming off a loss. It's not like he got knocked out. He lost a split decision in a fight that he arguably could have gotten the decision. And you had him winning the fight against Keith Thurman.
I had him winning the fight.
So is there really a need for, and again, with all due respect to Brandon Rios, is there really a need for a tune-up fight after you just coming off a split decision loss? If anything, you should be getting ready to jump in there and fight for another title.
Right.
Whether you should be trying to fight Errol Spence.
He's been out of the ring for almost a year.
Okay, that's his own fault. I mean, he's not injured.
That's my point.
He's not injured. So, but once again, I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but if someone is going to pay you a decent buck to fight a fight like this, then you'd be a fool not to take it. So, I mean, I'm not really mad at Danny Garcia at all. I mean, I could criticize him. I could criticize his selection of opponents. I can criticize that. I can criticize his desire to challenge himself if I wanted to. But at the end of the day, this isn't about challenging yourself for everybody. Some fighters, obviously, they want to make a decent living. They want to put those dollars in the bank because this doesn't last forever. And I get that. I really get that. But you know what? I just don't see how this fight is going to garner a lot of support and garner a lot of attention from the fans. And that's at the end of the day who's paying your salary. So let's see how many people watch it, and let's see. Hopefully, I'm wrong and it's more competitive than I anticipate. So all I can do is cross my fingers.
I'll tell you what, I will give him a little bit of a pass. Because Danny Garcia, again, it's a comeback fight. He hasn't fought in a while. It's a comeback fight. Brandon Rios is a name. I don't suspect Keith Thurman will fight anybody this tough. I suspect Keith Thurman will go to like the local gym and pick out an amateur and fight him. I don't suspect that Keith Thurman is going to fight anybody, any kind of name recognition or anything like that. I mean, given what he said, he just wants to he wants 2 tune-ups basically, and then he wants to fight Errol Spence. He doesn't really want to fight Errol Spence, but that's,
No,
I'll be more interested to see what Garcia says after the fight than Garcia fighting. I want to see if he calls out Errol Spence, or if he says, "Hey, I want to fight. Let's see who he wants to fight." I think that'll be real interesting.
Yeah.
The problem is, Eric, these fighters can say when they're interviewed on TV that they want to when they want to fight these guys, but when you put a contract in front of them, apparently they don't want to sign it.
Yeah, that's true. But with both these guys being on the same side of the fence, and if they both want to fight each other, I think that fight can probably get done. But they have to want it too. They have to want to fight each other.
Yeah, I agree.
So now let's talk about the Fox Deportes card. Very, very briefly here, because this one sucks. Devin Alexander versus Vicious Victor Ortiz, 12 rounds welterweights. I honestly could care less. I mean, I'm going to take Devin Alexander, but if the stadium, shuts down and the fight doesn't happen, I don't care either. Robert, what about you?
The fight we should be talking about instead of this one. I think Devin Alexander will win this, but the fight we should be talking about is David Benavidez. I mean, that's a rematch. The first fight was competitive. This is another waste of television time. And again, the best fight on TV, the best fight of the weekend, is not being shown here in the U.S.
All right, well, let's talk about it. I mean, go ahead and give me your opinion on the David Benavidez fight, because that's on the undercard of Garcia Rios on Showtime.
I think David will win this, but I think it'll be another competitive, close fight. I think it'll go the distance. I think David learned a lot from the first fight, but I think it's going to be as difficult as the first fight was, and I expect another very close decision. And considering it's in Vegas, when it goes to the scorecards these days, you got to wonder about Las Vegas judges.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. And on the undercard of the Devin Alexander Victor Ortiz fight, Caleb Plant versus Rogelio Porky Medina, 12 rounds for the IBF super middleweight eliminator. Again, I could care less who wins. I really could. I couldn't even give you a pick because I just don't care. Anybody care to wager?
Plant is the better of the two, Eric.
Yeah, great. Who cares? All right, let's go to now the big one, Manchester, England. The one Beeb Industries may go bankrupt on. George Groves versus Chris Eubank Jr., 12 rounds for Groves' WBA super middleweight title in the World Boxing Super Series semifinals. Listen, man, I've rode with him for the entire time. Chris Eubank Jr., I said, would come in. He would win the entire thing. I said he would upset the apple cart, would win the entire thing. I got to stay with him to beat Groves. And I think he does beat Groves. And I think he beats him in impressive fashion. I think Chris Eubank is coming into his own. I think he learned a ton from that loss with Billy Joe Saunders, which, it's not, nothing shameful to lose to Billy Joe Saunders. That guy's a solid fighter. Definitely not probably one of the best in the world. And I got to be honest, man, I tell you what, if Billy Joe Saunders fought Triple G right now or Canelo, that's not a gimme fight for either one of those guys. That's a tough night at the office, and I don't know who wins those fights. So that being said, I think Chris Eubank Jr. wins this fight. Robert, what say you?
Last year I got to watch a couple of the Eubank fights thanks to DirecTV and the Audience channel. I totally agree with you. I think he wins this tournament. And I think he beats George Groves. I think it'll be a competitive fight, but Chris Eubank walks away with this title. And you know what? We got to look back at the Billy Joe Saunders loss and say, you know what? At the time, it looked bad because not too many people knew who Billy Joe Saunders was. Now, the loss is actually looking better because of the way Billy is performing. Look at the way Saunders took apart David Lemieux. Mm-hmm. He actually accepted that fight, and he didn't have to, because normally Billy likes to walk away from fights, but he took that fight and handled it with ease. I think we have to look back on that fight and say, you know what? It's a better loss than what we thought it was at the time. I think Eubank wins this fight, and George Groves is a decent fighter, but
Really good fighter.
I think Eubank Jr. is at a higher level than Groves is, and I know Beeb disagrees, and I'm sorry to see Beeb Industries go to 11, but my thoughts.
All right, Beeb.
Yes.
What do you think about this fight? Who wins? Why?
Okay. This is the thing. George Groves has been there several times, and each time that he's been there, when I say been there, big fight,
yeah,
he's looked like he belonged, even in losing. I was very impressed with him in the first Kyle Farage fight. I would have really liked to have seen that fight play out to its entirety. I thought the fight was stopped a little too early. I thought he fought excellent in that fight. Second fight, same thing. Fought great until he got knocked out. But here's the problem with George Groves, that version of George Groves. I think that he fought off of adrenaline. I thought he got excited a little too much. He fought with too much of a sense of urgency. When things were going good for him, he got a little. When things got a little good, it seemed like it was getting too easy for him in those fights. I think he let down the guard a little bit, got complacent, and he fought a little nervous too. Like he blew his wad early in those fights where he came out strong, threw a lot of punches, and got his rhythm going. And instead of just coasting, he got a little overzealous and took some chances that he probably shouldn't have taken. And he probably could have gotten victories in those fights. And I don't want to take anything away from Kyle Farage because the game of woulda, coulda, shoulda means nothing in this sport because it's about the what is. So let's move on from there and let's go to Badou Jack. That was another great performance from him, even in losing. So he looked like he belonged in that fight. I thought he did very well with his range, worked beautifully off his jab. He's really good at distance, George Groves. He's a really good outside fighter. He's an adequate, mid-range, up-close fighter. But his game is the outside. We all know that. He likes to fight on the outside. And I think he does well with that. And even in that fight, that was a razor-close loss to Badou Jack. So he's been there, and he's lost. He's learned from the losses. Each loss, he's come back, and to me, he's gotten better. Chris Eubank Jr., yeah, he's flashy. He's dynamic. Throws a ton of punches. But he faded badly in that Billy Joe Saunders fight. He got real tired. You know what I mean? There's a lot of wasted motion. Sometimes it's better, like Grove said, yeah, he throws more punches than me, but my punches count when I throw them. Now, do you have to make every punch count? No. Can you throw a throwaway punch here and there? Sure. Can you throw a throwaway setup punch? A decoy punch? Absolutely. But Chris Eubank Jr., he fights off of emotion. He fights off of adrenaline. And every punch Chris Eubank Jr. throws, he's punching through to try to get himself out of that bubble. You know what that bubble is? That's his father's shadow. I think his father has a big impact on him. We see that. Does everything his father says. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. It could be good and bad. But he wants to eclipse his father. And because of that, every time he goes out there, it's not about winning for him. It's about looking flashy, looking exciting, getting that highlight reel knockout. George Groves, he's past all that. Now he knows that it's about winning. You know what I mean? He knows how to pace himself now. He fights more relaxed, more confident, more secure in his skin. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't have that. He's a mid-range guy, throws a lot of circus-type, whirling dervish-type punches, okay? And we still haven't seen him correct any of those mistakes. Now, with George Groves and his shortcomings, he's come back a better man from losing, because losing is life's greatest teacher. Failure is life's greatest teacher. Now, Chris Eubank Jr. has never experienced that. He's experienced failure, but he didn't use that as a teaching moment because he's never changed anything. And he's been in there with lesser opposition after that Billy just on his fight. So he's never really been pressed. He's gotten guys out of there early. He's never fought a hard 12. George Groves has fought a hard 12 several times. Okay? Martin Murray, another tough fighter. George Groves shined through there. So George Groves has learned from his mistakes, has more experience fighting on the big stage, has a better resume, and he's a much, much better technical fighter. And I think he's a more accurate puncher. Okay, I think he's better at setting up shots. I think he's more defensively responsible. So you could look at Chris Eubank Jr. all you want, but you scrape away all that glitz and glitter and that gloss. And what do you have? You have a guy with questionable stamina. You have a guy who's really not well-rounded. You have a guy who looks for that one punch to knock you out with. And he swings for the fences every time he throws that one punch. And he's a guy who can't really control adrenaline. He fights off of emotion. He's in there sparring. And I know people, Beeb sparring. He's in there sparring, going full force on the sparring partner. So like he wants to kill the sparring partner. And his dad had to jump in there and pull him off. This is a guy that I think lacks poise, lacks self-control. And once again, not to sound redundant, lacks that ability to control adrenaline, because adrenaline can be your best friend and it could be your worst enemy in that ring. And if you can't control it, it will get the better of you. And we've seen many of fighters get eaten up by that ugly monster adrenaline. And I think Chris Eubank is going to be one of those guys next week. I think you're going to see a tactical, cerebral performance from George Groves. I think George Groves is going to be the ring general in that ring. He's going to control the pace. He's going to control the distance. And I think when Chris Eubank gets close, you'll see George Groves kind of muscle him a little bit, bull him a little bit, because he's bigger. He's arguably stronger, I think, physically, in my opinion. I think you'll see that type of performance where he'll grab him, slow it up, walk him back a little bit, lean on him a little bit, give him that little nudge, and then just a little jab his way out and get it back on the outside. This fight's going to be fought on the outside, and when it gets close to the mid-range area, I think George Groves is going to freeze that action. He is not going to let this guy move his hands inside. He's not. He's not going to let it happen. I just don't see it. George Groves, 12-round unanimous decision on a very cerebral, methodical performance.
Wow.
Beating you out to Beeb said it here first.
There it is.
Linda, go to the bank tomorrow. Cash in that 401k. We're putting it on George Groves next week.
Beeb is going to be broke next week because Chris Eubank is going to kill this kid. All right. In 2 weeks. So next week is the fight with George Groves. The week after that is the big Superfly card. And we'll talk about that as it gets closer. But I was looking at this card today, and you got Srisaket Sorrung Vasai versus Juan Francisco Estrada as the main event, which is going to be an amazing fight right there. You also have Carlos Cuadras versus McWilliams Arroyo. That's going to be a good fight. Donnie Nietes on the card against Juan Carlos Rebico. That's going to be a good fight. Brian Valoria on the card. It's just a good card all the way around, man. I can't wait to see that too. So it is definitely heating up, as well as Jurgen Bramer and Callum Smith are fighting to see who fights George Groves or Chris Eubank Jr. So there you go. So definitely starting to heat up later on in the month. So there it is. So not a lot of boxing action this week, but it's heating up. It's heating up. It's getting hot. It's getting hot, guys. All right, let's go to the phones here. 805. 805, you're live.
What's up, guys? It's me. Nacho.
Hey, Nacho, what's up?
What's up?
Nothing.
Nacho, what's up, buddy?
just listening to you guys right now talking about. Well, let me get to the fights this weekend first. With the third guy that Berchelt was fighting this weekend, I was like you guys. I honestly watched the first 2 rounds, and I'm thinking, man, is this guy really going to actually put up a good fight? And then in the third round, when he just kind of kept, Berchelt just kept blinding him with his jab, and then just waited for the opening. And as soon as he landed that right hand, it was pretty much over at that point. Awuku couldn't handle the pressure and the onslaught that Berchelt put on him, and he dropped him twice. And then finally, when he got up, you could tell that he didn't want any more. So that was a pretty quick stoppage. And then good for Berchelt. He got rid of a guy that he should be. But hopefully, what I've read this past weekend was that the Golden Boy is thinking about matching him up with the Puerto Rican kid, Machado. Yeah. He has the WBA belt. So they're thinking about doing that fight next. Or if not, he either has to fight his mandatory, which is Mickey Roman, and he fought last night also, but he beat a nobody on his card last night also. He stopped him in the 4th round. So I think that would be an interesting fight. If he doesn't do the unification, I think he should fight Mickey Roman, because that would be an all-action fight for as long as it goes. And then the kid on the undercard of that Berchelt card, Jaime Munguia, he's really getting better. He's like a really good prospect who's going to develop into a contender. And he's huge for a 154-pound fighter. I would like to see this kid eventually fight Jared Hurd if he can make 54 for a while, because he is just as big and just as strong and just as rugged as Hurd is. And I think that would be a really good fight between these two guys, because this kid is getting better every fight, and he's already got 26 fights under his belt. I think if they can give him about 3 or 4 more fights against some better opposition, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Hurd for the titles eventually at 54, because this kid is that good. In the what was the other? Oh, I watched that Hank Lundy fight. It was actually on his promotional company's Facebook page.
Oh, CES.
They actually showed it live.
Yeah, CES showed it.
Yeah, CES Sports.
I might have to go back and check it out. How did he look, man? How did he look? I heard it was one-sided.
You can watch it. He looked okay. The problem was that he had too much respect for Corley. But I have to give Corley credit. For a guy who's 43 years old, he doesn't fight like a 43-year-old. He fights like a guy who's about 5 or 6 years younger. Corley's not completely washed up. The record is deceiving. Wow. Like, he looks like he can still beat most guys in there, because he gave a pretty good account of himself. And I didn't think that the fight was as lopsided as they scored it. I honestly thought you could have legitimately scored it at most maybe 5-3 for Lundy. I didn't think Lundy was all that impressive, to be completely honest with you. He had too much respect for Corley, and he wasn't really able to hit Corley cleanly most of the fight. Corley was able to slip and duck a lot of his shots, and he was able to move out of the way. But
if you're Hank Lundy, Nacho, why are you taking 8-round fights when you fought 10 rounds and I think 12 rounds before? I mean, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I get it. For sure, it doesn't make any sense for him, especially a veteran like him, to be taking an 8-rounder. It's not like he took like a 2 or 3 year layoff and is taking the rust off. But yeah, I don't get it. You'd have to ask his promoter why the hell it was only an 8-rounder. That doesn't make any sense.
Sucks too.
And then the fights this weekend. I agree with you guys. I think Danny Garcia is going to beat Brandon Rios. But from everything I've seen and read from Brandon Rios, it looks like, I think he knows that if he loses this fight, he's pretty much lost his relevance as a fighter. He's just going to become just a name. And I think he's going to go all out and just try to get Garcia. Because the one thing I've never liked about Garcia is too skittish for me. he's very measured and very compact as far as how many punches he throws, when he throws them, and then what kind of an effort he puts in against certain opponents. My only thing is, I wonder if Garcia's overlooking Rios, thinking that this is going to be a really easy fight for him and that it's going to be a walk in the park. I don't think it is. I think Garcia's going to put up a really good fight. And if Garcia does win, I don't see him stopping him. I think it ends up going probably the distance, because I'm not all that impressed with Garcia's power, to be honest. I think he's got power to knock out C and D level fighters that he's fought in his career, but he's never really stopped a big name fighter. When he fought them, he would always go the unanimous 12 decision route. So I think that's what happens there. I agree with Robbie. I like the Benavidez-Gabriel fight. I think Benavidez has learned from his mistakes from the first fight, and he also hired Pacquiao's old strength and conditioning coach, Ariza, to help him get in shape for the fight. And I think the kid's going to be in better shape, and I think he's going to throw a lot more, and he's going to have more in the gas tank for the 12 if it goes 12. But I think he's going to stop Gabriel. I think he stops him in probably 10 or 11. And the other one, the regular Fox card, the loser leaves town match between Devin Alexander and Victor Ortiz. I'm picking Devin Alexander only because I don't think Ortiz has anything left at this point. I think he's just a name. And I think Alexander looked a lot better in his last fight a few months ago. And I think he's got more left in the tank. So I'm picking Alexander to win that fight I'm going to say he stops Ortiz probably in like the 8th or 9th round. In the other fight on that card, I actually saw this on Instagram. I follow this website called Round by Round Boxing, and Caleb Plant put up a video of him training, and he just put all these comments about how he eats, sleeps, and drinks boxing, and that Porky Medina better be ready for him on February 17th. And I made the comment that Caleb Plant should win because he's fighting the ghost of Porky Medina, because Benavidez beat the hell out of him
yes,
a couple fights back.
Yes,
he beat the hell out of him, and he's the shell of Porky Medina. And can you believe this guy was dumb enough to not realize that I was insulting him? And he actually liked my comment.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty funny to me. I was like, wow, this guy didn't realize I was insulting him by telling him he was fighting a stiff. And he liked my comment. I found that pretty hilarious.
That's funny.
Okay.
And yeah, and as far as the Groves Eubank fight, I like Chris Eubank. I think he's gotten better the last 3 or 4 fights I've seen him. My only concern with Eubank is he going to be so revved up for the fight on Saturday that he burns himself out early, and then Groves takes advantage of him in the second half of the fight. If Eubank can measure himself the first 6, 7 rounds of that fight, and then really turn it on in the 9, 10, 11, 12 a portion of the fight, I think he wins that fight. But if he goes in there trying to rip Groves' head off, I think that's going to play right into Groves' hands. And then I think Groves wins that fight probably by knockout in like 9 or 10. So that's just me. And then as far as you guys just brought it up right now, the other semifinal matchup, I think you guys are sleeping on Callum Smith a little bit. I like the kid. I think he's a very good fighter, and I think he's a little underrated. And if he beats Brahmer, which I think he should win that fight, I think whoever wins the fight this weekend is going to have their hands full with that kid. That kid's not a pushover, and he's not some fifth with a shiny record. He's fought some solid opposition. They've built him the right way, and I think he's going to be a problem for either Eubank or Groves, whoever wins the fight this weekend. And there was one other thing I was going to bring up. As far as the Superfly card, I'm actually going to that, and I agree with you guys. I think that's the best card that's on this entire month. and I can't
Oh
wait.
yeah,
by
without
far.
question, it is.
By
Without
far.
question.
Yeah,
Well, the best card up and
Yeah, that
down,
should-
the best card from top to bottom, because the World Boxing Super Series, they've had some good fights, but their cards aren't exactly stellar. You know what I mean? They got good top level fights.
Right.
yeah,
But from top to bottom,
Yeah,
the Superfly
exactly.
card is amazing. Yeah, they got some good fights on there. The only thing I wish, and I mean,
Yeah,
you'll get to see
for
the entire card because you're going. I wish we could see the entire card. You know what I mean, from top to bottom. But
I wish.
yeah, that
well,
should be fun.
I wish we could.
yeah, that's gonna be that.
Yeah, that
wow,
should
those
be
are-
fun because, like they added a few more fights on the off TV portion. Nothing really spectacular, but that's okay. It's just filler because
Yeah.
the other 4 fights that you guys mentioned are going to be great. Valoria against the Kazakh kid that he's fighting, I think that's going to be a good fight. And then the 3 TV fights should be really entertaining as well with Revko and Nieves, and then Quadras and Arroyo, and then of course the main event is probably going to be the best one of the 4, and Sarangvasai and Estrada. Hopefully Estrada, gets the W, because I think he's in tough for sure with Sarangvasai. So
Yeah, Rungvisai
it'll
looks
definitely
good,
be interesting
man.
to see.
Rungvisai looks really good.
It'll
I
be interesting to see how that fight.
can't wait to see that card.
No,
It's gonna be
that's
amazing.
going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. There was one other thing. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys see that Danny Jacobs and Big Baby Miller have finalized their opponents?
I don't know. I thought last I heard that he was negotiating. Danny Jacobs was negotiating.
Oh, well, I saw something by Dan Rayfield where he said he basically already made the deal with the Polish guy that beat Hugo Centeno.
Yeah, Selesky.
Yeah, he put that out a few days ago.
That's a good fight. Let me tell you what, that's a
exactly.
really good fight. That is a really solid fight, man. And I know Jason had been going on and on all week about he's fighting Spike O'Sullivan or whatever. That fight's not happening.
No, it's not.
Maciej Selesky is a really tough fighter. He's a really good fighter. I can't wait to see that fight. That is a really, really top level fight.
Okay, and then I'm not really excited about the Big Baby Miller one. He's fighting the guy that Wilder beat down a few years ago, Johan Duapas.
Yeah.
Like I don't get that one.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how that fight helps Miller in any way.
Well,
shape, or
let's see
form.
if he stays away from the table, huh?
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you say that, Robbie, because he actually told Ring Magazine that he's thinking about coming in heavier than what he was at in his last fight.
Oh my
Because
God!
he said he felt terrible at 280. And I'm like, how the hell do you feel terrible at 280? You should be fucking fighting at 250.
Yeah,
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Nacho, I've said that all along. He needs to fight, 250, between 250 and 260 instead of coming in 280, 290, 295. I mean, my God, really? Come on.
Yeah, like, what is this guy talking about? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I think what happens is that he hasn't fought anybody who's pushed him the 12-round distance. And I think until that happens, that's when he'll realize that he can't be weighing in at 280, 290 pounds for fights anymore. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. You don't do that as a heavyweight fighter, And
of course, his promoter is handing him one soft touch after another, and until they increase his competition level, I guess he'll never learn.
Yeah, for sure. Until someone actually beats him up or gives him a scare that he almost loses a really a really winnable fight, then only then will he learn that he needs to come into the ring in better shape. And there was one other thing I was going to bring up.
Speaking of heavyweights, Nacho, have you seen the pictures of Anthony Joshua lately? I don't like the way that looks either. Too much muscle.
Yeah, you know what? My whole thing with him is that I don't understand why the guy needs to bulk up. Like, you're already muscular as is. I would think that if anything, he would want to lean out a little more. But lately, from what I've seen, it seems like he's doing a lot of plyometric type exercises. So I would hope that it would increase his endurance, not necessarily add muscle. But yeah, that is pretty interesting that he looks a lot more muscular than he did in his last fight against Takam. I was like, wow, like what the hell? Like that's a very, very interesting picture that he put up recently where they showed him and he looked like a bodybuilder almost.
Wow.
Eric,
I couldn't
did you
believe
see that?
I did not. No, I didn't.
I'm kind of worried because if he looks that way, you know, with his muscles, what's his weight going to be like? Because he came in at 254 against Takam. What's he going to weigh when he steps on the scale for Parker?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting because a lot of times, man, you know, those pictures, they can be deceiving, man. They really can be. I mean, they can be deceiving. They really, I mean, it's just one of those things, man. You take a picture at the right, you know what I mean? I don't know. I want to see, I'll reserve judgment till he weighs in or we see him at a press conference or something like that. If he looks like crazy big or something, you know, we'll see. But, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine he'll come in under 254 like that. I'd be very surprised if he came in under 254.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of muscle from what I saw. Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to bring up, guys, was did you hear about Michael Conlan moved back to the UK and he left Manny Robles to go with Adam Booth?
Really?
Oh,
no, I did not hear that.
Apparently, a lot of people were saying that he left Manny Robles because he had a problem with the way he had been fighting recently. But then Conlan came out and said that the reason he was moving back to the UK was because his wife and him were having a second child, and he just felt like it was close. It was better to be closer to family, so he could train better in the UK with a peace of mind of having his family close by instead of them just being by themselves in Los Angeles. So
makes sense.
I hope that's true because I've been reading kind of some stories about, well, he said one thing and other people are saying, oh, that's not what was said.
Well, is he still scheduled to be on the March 17th card at the Garden?
Yes, he is. He's still fighting on that one, Robbie, for sure.
Okay.
But Adam Booth is his trainer. Adam Booth is his trainer now. He's no longer with Manny Robles. Oh, and before I forget, you guys brought up the Top Rank card. That's what I was going to talk about. The guy that David Venetian is fighting, his name is, I don't know how to say his first name, but his last name is Kavalishkis.
Okay.
That's his name.
Gotcha.
That kid is really good.
He's fighting the machine. That's who he's fighting. Yeah. I know who you're talking about now.
Wow.
Yeah, that kid has been blowing away everybody they put in front of him. And it'll be interesting to see how Venetian hangs with Kavalishkis, because Kavalishkis has got really good power in both hands, and he's a pretty big welterweight. So it'd be interesting to see if Venetian can hang with him, because Kavalishkis has blown out all of his opponents within 6-7 rounds. It seems like he knocks them out.
Yeah, now I know who you're talking about. Oh, that's going to be a better fight, Eric, than what we thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a garbage fight, but hey, Nacho gives it his seal of approval. We got to go with him. He knows what he's talking about.
And then the main event, I agree with you guys. I think that fight is set up for Beltran to win, because Moses is kind of over the hill as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he had a chance to win this belt 4 years ago against Ricky Burns, and Ricky Burns basically UD'd him and beat him really easily, and that was 4 years ago. So at this point, I don't see Moses being any better than he was back then. So I think. Well, and of course,
we all gotta help Ray get his green card, you know. So he's got to keep winning. You know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. The whole help Ray get his green card theme has definitely been pushed by Top Rank.
Yes, it has.
Sure.
That's funny.
Man.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And okay. And my last point, guys, before because I know I'm sure other people are going to call in. Did you guys see that the guy that signed with Richard Schaefer and David Hay, the heavyweight from England named Joe Joyce? They wanted him to fight Derek Chisora in not this fight coming. He has a fight coming up this Friday in England, but then they wanted him for his next fight on the undercard of the Hay Bellew fight on May 5th. And Hayes spoke to Chisora, and he said that he offered him 80,000 pounds to fight this kid, and the kid's only fought. He will have fought 3 professional fights by the time the fight would have happened. And Hayes said that Chisora said, no, unless you pay me more than that, I'm not fighting this kid. So I found that kind of interesting because Chisora had said that too, recently that he thought the guy was easy work, and now he's turning down the fight.
80 grand. So, what does he get out of that 80 grand? Was that about 30 take home? Maybe. I don't know.
No, yeah, 80,000 pounds. How many dollars is that?
No, but I'm saying though 80,000. But what I'm saying though is he's not going to get 80,000. I mean, all that stuff's got to get paid out. So plus taxes and everything like that. By the time it's all said and done, he's probably taking home about 30 of it. Yeah, I don't blame him.
80,000 is nothing. It's like 95,000. It's like 90. It's like 95,000.
Yeah,
for a fight.
Yeah, that's not very much
for a fighter of that level.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame him for that, man.
I would have took the fight either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I would have.
Good call, Nacho, as always, man.
All right. Yeah,
Nacho.
sure. All right. Are you guys on at the same time next week?
Yeah.
Football's over.
We're going to be on the same time until further notice now, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah,
okay.
For sure. No
Just
Super
wanted
Bowl,
to make sure.
everything like that. So
all
that's
right.
all good.
See you, Nacho.
Cool, thanks.
All right, man.
See you.
Good call, man.
All right. Now, we're going to bring Georgie on. Georgie apparently wants to bet Beeb, and the only way we can make a bet official is if it happens on air. If it happens on the chat, it's not official. It's got to be on air. So we'll see.
Hey, what's happening, people?
What's up,
guys?
Oh, there it goes. I hate this thing.
Listen, people, man. Listen.
I hate blog talk, by the way. Hang on, Georgie, 1 second. But 1 second, because I'm going to go on a rant here. You know, these idiots, they screwed up the music, the intro here for this podcast. I hit the sound bites. The sound bites aren't working either. Blog talk, I hate you. I hate this platform so much. Go ahead, Georgie. I'm sorry.
Listen, Harry, we cannot be hiding and trying to cover the sun with one finger because it's not happening. We know that the cryptocurrency took a hit, the stock market went down, and now Beef Enterprise about to take a plunge. So what's going on, Beef? You want to crash the economy? You want to attack the U.S. economy? What's wrong with you, buddy?
I ain't worried about the U.S. economy, man. My Beeb Industries is soaring through the roof right now. We giving out bonuses too.
You already cut
We're giving out bonuses too.
We ain't got no intro on the show because you cutting the budget. So we abundantly clear that you're in trouble, my friend. So you really want to do this?
Oh God.
So what is the bet? You're betting...
George, you said you want to bet. So what's the bet?
What's the bet?
That's what I'm saying. I know they may be taking losses. I need a comeback. I'm looking for an easy way in, an easy win. And he wanted to do it to himself, so it's on his hands. I'm not going to force the man. You know, I'm going to have pity on him.
All right. Hey, Beeb?
I'm taking it.
Oh, so you have St. George Groves, Georgie. You have Chris Eubank Jr. just to win. No knockouts, no parlays, nothing like that.
Just to win.
Just to win. And Georgie, you have Eubank Jr. just to win. The bet is official.
You know what, Georgie? You're not taking a pie this week. I can guarantee that.
Look at Robert.
Listen,
Georgie, have you ever won a bet?
Easy win. I don't know.
Georgie, have you ever won a bet against Beeb?
Yeah. I beat him and he took a little pie too.
All right.
My record against Beeb is that he beat me 3-1.
3-1, okay.
So he got 2 wins
Gotcha.
over me. Yeah,
you know, my record is undefeated. I'm just
back,
saying.
You're the king, Eric. You're the king, so we got to take it from you. I know Beeb doesn't want to step up to you.
Good luck to that, man. I got to tell you.
Back on the rankings and challenge you again.
That's like an impossible chore right there. I mean, Georgie, you really have to shoot the bar a little bit lower because, and this goes out to everybody. I mean, you know, trying to take the crown from me, my gosh. I mean, that's out there, man. I mean, that's
the best you gotta
that's
be
like
the
beating
best,
Tyson
baby.
in his prime. I mean, Jeez.
Gotta take it from the man.
Yeah.
All the way around it.
Hey, Eric,
Good luck,
are you
'cause I
trying to
don't
be the
see
Keith Thurman of the
myself-
Ringside Reporter podcast?
I don't see myself losing anytime soon. I got to be honest. I mean, this is wow. I mean, Robert, how long have we had this podcast? A few years now, and I've never
yeah,
lost.
it's been a couple years,
Never
man. It's been a
lost.
couple years at least.
Yeah, this is a streak that unprecedented streak. It's I can't even put it into words. Robert, I know you can't either. It's undisputed is the only way I can say it.
I'm going to step up to the challenge, Eric. I'm going to climb all the way to the ladder, back in the rankings, baby. I'm going to get there. I just got to put Beeb on his place real quick because we know Beeb's watch out. He don't have it on him no more.
Well, look at this as a title eliminator. You know, this is like a title eliminator.
Title eliminator. Yeah, baby. I love it.
Well, hey, Georgie, we know how you feel about the Eubank fights. What about the rest of the fights this next weekend? Do you like any of them?
Oh, man, that what is it? That Tom Ranks shit, man, that thing is disgusting. I don't want to know no more of that shit, man.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a boxing fan. I never consider myself a hardcore. I always consider myself just a fan because, you know,
Okay.
there's a lot of knowledge that to be called a hardcore, you really have to have. Because you got to be current about the new guys and you got to be, you know, knowledgeable about the history of boxing. So I just going to put myself just into the big names, you know, Eubank against Groves, stuff like that, you know, top names out there. Anything below that is not really top 10 guys, I'm just not going to waste my time supporting that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You know?
Hey, you don't have to apologize. You watch the fights that you're interested in. That's okay with us.
Because I mean, just like what you wanting with Alexander against who? Victor Ortiz?
Yep, that's right. Danny Garcia against Brandon Rios. You know,
why are we putting these resources on these type of fights?
But I do think the David Benavidez fight is going to be good. So.
But that's the main. But the main thing is Alexander, right?
Yeah, the main event on Showtime is Danny Garcia and Brandon Rios. The main event on Fox is Devin Alexander and Victor Ortiz.
My God! And Fox can cover so much, like so many millions of people, and they got these resources from that.
Well, and I'll remind you of another thing, and I know people are going to hate to hear this. The Fox program is a time buy. Showtime is not.
Oh, Robbie.
Robert.
So what do you mean by that, Robert? You got to break that down, bud.
In other words, Georgie, PBC paid for Fox to show the fights. Showtime is paying PBC to show the fights. That's the difference.
Listen, Robbie, I know I'm leaving overtime, but I'm not trying to punch my ticket any day soon. So we got to start talking about these Cosa Nostra guys. We gotta start talking about them like that.
The mafia is going to be in London pretty soon.
It's a matter of time before they send the hitman. So let's cut it out while we're ahead.
All right.
But no, all seriousness, man, that fight there is disappointing, especially when it's on Fox, because Fox got millions and millions of people who watch that. And you want to put something out there who's going to be appealing.
I agree with you, George.
Public, you know, so people get, you know, involved in boxing. And boxing was in the time, I don't know, I know his story, but boxing used to be the #1 sport right there with baseball.
Yeah, a long time ago. A long time ago. Yep.
And this is why it doesn't go back to that era, because they keep putting these people out there we're just wasting time with. I just don't get how these people make even money out of this. Who's watching?
I don't know, and I can't imagine there's going to be a big crowd at the Devin Alexander Victor Ortiz fight. I'll tell you that. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. If you ask any hardcore or regular boxing fan like me, they're gonna be like, "That's a chef fight, bro. Give me something else, man. What's next? You gonna pull a jury? The Lord, me?
I don't know.
What we gonna put there?
Horrible. Horrible.
Malik Scott.
Malik Scott.
Yeah, it is
He
pretty
just went
bad.
deep.
It is a bunch of names that we just gotta let it go to pasture and push the new talent. Let me see this guy with the 15-0 record. Couple undefeated guys out there.
I hear you, Georgie.
You know what I'm saying? But man, it's just kind of disappointing, brother. So
Very
when is the Eubank fight? When is it?
That's going to be on
That'll
Saturday.
be Saturday.
And it'll be on
Next Saturday?
Yeah, and you know what? Check the website. Check ringsidereporter.com, because if it's on if they're streaming it on YouTube, we'll put it on. So you'll be able to watch it at ringsidereporter.com. We'll borrow the feed or whatever.
And they got any belts on the line, guys? Is there any
WBA.
belts?
Yeah, George
WBA.
Groves has his WBA belt on the line, and then this is part of the Super Series, and this is the semifinals. So the winner of that fight will fight the winner of the Callum Smith fight.
And they're gonna be televised?
No.
Not in the States?
No.
Man, what's going on in the state that we ain't getting no love to these Russian people and UK people, and like boxing is not part of the world. Boxing belongs to the world, brother.
Unreal.
And here in the US, we just stop blocking all these fights, man.
Well, that's why I said earlier, Georgie, the best fight.
How the fuck you don't put money into televising that on Fox instead of that fucking bullshit fight with Alexander?
Yeah, right.
That shit don't make more sense. You don't have to
I don't know.
Right, we're showing the Alexander Ortiz fight,
views.
and we're not showing this one, the Eubank fight. Unbelievable.
It's just ridiculous. And who's running this thing? What the fuck is going on? The world.
Richard Schaefer is running the Super Series. That's his thing.
Man, it's another disappointment. What can you say, brother? What can you say? What else is out there? What else? Anybody else fighting Saturday?
Well, like I said, you've got the Danny Garcia card on Showtime with David Benavidez fighting, and you've got the Alexander garbage on Fox, and then you've got the ESPN card on Friday. That's the extent of our US TV. The best fight of the weekend is going to be on the internet.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, before I forget, guys, what you guys think about what Wilder said? That he said that he's willing to take whatever they. Now he changed his tune, but okay, let's roll with that. He said that he's willing to take whatever they give him, and on the rematch, AJ got to take the same deal that he's taking this time around.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He's not going to.
No, it's not going to happen.
He's not going to. So I mean, that's yeah, he's talking. He's trying to get the fight. The fact is they don't need him.
He's just trying to throw something out there.
And the fact is there's enough good heavyweights out there. Joshua doesn't need him. He doesn't. Everybody wants to see the fight. I want to see it. He just doesn't need him. So why make the fight bigger?
That's so true.
And again, Joshua is making so much money at home.
Yep.
He didn't need to go anywhere else.
Nope, sure don't. He's not selling out
and especially
70,000 over
when
here.
he ain't getting no love from none of these podcasts here. You can see it on the internet. You can see on regular TV and cable, whatnot. Man, for some reason, they just keep blocking. Whatever is not U.S. is getting caught blocking here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Georgie, right now, until proven otherwise, I think he's the best heavyweight out there.
I know.
I agree.
Yo, you think Ortiz gonna make it to the 12th round?
No.
What about you, Eric?
I don't know. It's an interesting fight. I don't know who wins that fight.
I don't hate the fight. I don't because
either, man. That's an interesting fight. I don't know who wins it.
No, I don't hate the fight, but I don't hate the fight at all. But I don't think it goes the distance.
Well, I think Ortiz's best performance was against Jennings, right? You guys?
Yeah. Brian, bye Jennings. He went bye.
Yeah.
Now Jennings is a top motherfucker, bro. I give that man all the respect in the world. Why? That dude is a warrior, brother. But
Yeah, well, after he fought Ortiz, he went 12 rounds with Klitschko. So you know you got to give the guy credit.
no, he fought Klitschko first, right? Wasn't it?
Oh, I might have it backwards. You're right.
Yeah, I think he fought Klitschko first, and from the Klitschko fight, I'm like, oh, this nigga's really good. And I'm like, he belongs there. Because like they say that you only got like 17 amateur fights or something like less than 20 fights amateur. You know, so if you got such a little amateur background and you're a professional making it, you know, against these top level guys out there, you know, and giving a good performance, he never got blown out. I mean, Ortiz knocked him out, but it wasn't like Ortiz was beating him since first round. It was pretty competitive. So
Yep.
I think Ortiz's chance is to get in the inside and try to land that soft uppercut in the first round. Land that soft uppercut. Keep on landing the soft uppercut, and all of a sudden surprise Wilder with a big one. Boom. Like he did with Jennings, because that's what he did with Jennings. Got him slipping with the uppercut, like, oh yeah, the uppercut ain't shit, until boom, he unleashed the real one and was lights out.
Well, keep one thing in mind, Georgie. Brian Jennings is a small heavyweight. Deontay Wilder is not.
True that. But yeah, but Wilder is more tall than anything else, and it's like he's a big dude like that. I mean, he's big back. His frame is more skinny. He's just taller.
Yeah,
Like,
you've got that right.
Like big. Who's big? Ortiz is a big motherfucker. You know why? So I don't know. It's pretty even. Like size-wise, I think they're pretty even match-up. Even that Wilder's a little taller. And Wilder with that lean back chain, he may get caught with fucking something like Lennox Lewis against Rodman. He tends to do that lean back, straight back bullshit. That's why I don't like Wilder. I don't like no heavyweight. I always thought that, and man, you a heavyweight and you so tall. You do respect in boxing when you do that lean back shit. The reason I like AJ is because I never seen him. Never. He always got that fundamental going to the side or some bullshit, but you never seen him with that lean back all the way back bullshit.
There it is.
Anyways, the bet is official.
It is official.
The price is going down. And Sunday's Friday.
There you go. There you go. Georgie, my man.
Coming for you, Beeb.
You heard it. You heard it. BB's coming for you. We will talk to you next week.
I'm ready.
There it is. And our soundboard
Georgie
doesn't seem to be working at all. Like at all.
From this day, you'll be my new food.
There you go.
Yeah, it only took. All right. So let's go to the news, and then we're going to go right back to the phones. Regis Prograis versus Victor Postol. Postol is set for March 9th. It'll be on Showtime from South Dakota. How about that? And Danny Jacobs, I don't know if this fight is official or not. I haven't confirmed anything. Last I confirmed, they were in negotiation. If Dan Rafael said it's happening, then it's happening. Danny Jacobs will face Maciej Sulecki. And if you haven't seen Sulecki fight, he's a very good fighter. This is no gimme by any stretch. This is a very good fight for him. So this is a good fight. Even if you haven't heard of Sulecki, it's
supposed to be on Saturday, April 28th on HBO, Eric.
Sounds good to me. All right. Our train wreck of the week. Beeb, it's time.
Yeah, let's go. Hurry up. Let's go. Come on. Hurry up. We're on the clock.
Chugga. Choo.
Awesome. Good job.
Great.
There you go.
Great. That was so much better than when Beeb does it. When Beeb does it, it's just hideous. It sounds like drowning. It's awful. Horrible. Adrian Broner back in the train wreck of the week. Adrian Broner is its train wreck of the week because he released a profanity-laden tweet on social media. Adrian Broner appears to have gone off the deep end again. He released and has since deleted a profanity-laced post on Instagram. The post read, F everyone, only it didn't say F. It was the full word. It was the F dash word. F
Right.
everyone. F his parents. F his kids' mothers. F his friends. Broner has since apologized for the post and claimed that he's going through a lot right now. Broner doesn't strike me. This is not the first time he's done this. He just doesn't strike me as someone who's mentally tough, man. And I think that when he's challenged by life or in the ring, he might have the tendency to fold. And I think you saw it in the Maidana fight where he didn't quit, but he didn't, he was done after those knockdowns. And whenever he gets challenged, I think that little bit of a resistance is a problem for him.
It is.
This is not the first time he's done something like this.
Nope, it's not.
Man, this is a big deal here. So, Terrence Crawford set to play in a Celebrity All-Star NBA game. Crawford has been selected to play in the Celebrity game. He will be a part of Team Lakers. Jamie Foxx, Tracy McGrady, Candace Parker, and Jason Williams. I don't know who Candace Parker is, but Jason Williams and others will be part of the game also. So if you like the NBA, hey, check him out in there. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's see here. 770. I think this is Real Talk. You're live.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, Real Talk.
What's up?
What's up?
Man, just chilling, man. I've been doing my thing, man. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't called in a while, man. I hadn't really watched. I've been keeping up with some of the YouTube channels and stuff and watching some of the fights, but I've been busy, man. Actually, I've been completely absorbed into jiu-jitsu, really, lately. But I mean, I still watch boxing, but keep up with all the drama going on, man.
Jiu-jitsu is addictive, man.
What do you guys? You got some subject matters for me so I can give my opinion on some of the things, because there's so much going on. I can't really focus on one. You know what I'm saying?
Who do you like in the Eubank Jr. Groves fight?
Who? Groves?
Yeah.
Oh, Eubank Jr. Groves. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's a 50-50, man, really. And it's kind of odd because both guys they have some flaws, both guys, Eubanks has been doing good lately, the last year or two, but I mean, he's on the comeback from that, I think that loss to Billy Joe. But I mean, I think both guys are, they got flaws, you know what I mean? And I think probably in the fight, both fighters can probably exploit some of those weaknesses, you know what I mean? So I think it's a 50-50 fight. Stylistically, I think there's some things that Groves can exploit of Eubanks and then vice versa. So I give that a 50-50. You know what I mean?
All right.
Deontay Wilder and his bullshit, man. That I've been kind of looking at that, man, but that dude just needs to chill, you know what I mean? Because if dude wants to fight him, dude to fight him, you know what I mean?
Who do you
think? Always have this is what makes me mad, huh?
Who do you think wins between Wilder and Louis Ortiz?
I ain't gonna put it. I would say Ortiz. Technical wise, I would say Ortiz should win.
Right.
But my biggest thing with Ortiz is just he likes to fight in the pocket, and he can. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. He's one of them guys that can be in the pocket and sit there and use angles and sharp shoot, and do very well there. But as you're going down the stretch, if you hadn't got Deontay out of there, as you get a little tired, or you lose a step or two, you know what I mean? It's kind of dangerous for any guy to be in the pocket with Deontay. You know what I mean? So if he can get him out of there early, if he can hurt Deontay early in the fight, or at least in the early to mid rounds, before he starts to slow down a little bit. Because I think Deontay has pretty good stamina. That's one thing I'll give him. He has a big right hand, and he has stamina. But as far as his chin, I don't think his chin is that good. He's just never been. He's got enough stamina kind of survive in there and stay away from the big punches. And then on top of that, he's really never faced a really good elite fighter yet. So like a Joshua or Klitschko or an Ortiz. So we don't, that's yet to be seen if his survival skills are, enough to deal with an elite fighter. But I would say Ortiz skill-wise, I mean, but, like I said, the stamina thing, I think Ortiz has got decent stamina, but he's a little bit shorter guy. And, he likes to languish around in the pocket, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes he does it like he'll just cover up. And that's what scares me. Like, cause sometimes I see him when he's fighting. When that was that fight with, I can't remember who it was, but he kind of, sometimes he'll move his head, but sometimes he'll just kind of cover up when he gets tired. You know what I mean? But if he's still able to slip a little, like subtle, like very subtle head movement, he can, maybe he's confident in that way. But with Deontay, sometimes he don't have to hit you with a punch with any kind of, good technique, or he can glance you, or, just he can punch through your guard a little bit, and I think it has more to do with just the velocity of the shot coming from such range. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy with a range like Deontay, and it's coming from such height and range that punch he's got pretty good speed, and that punch has a lot of velocity. I mean, because the guy has no fucking base. Let's be real. He has no legs. So where his power comes from, obviously, is just from his upper body and his range and length and his height. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen too many guys with skinny ass legs like that have, kind of power. But yeah, I don't like Deontay, man. I think he's a racist. I think he hates white people. Just my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm from the South, man. I'm from South Georgia. And where I'm from, trust me, I got a lot of black friends, and he harbors hatred, and he just plays it off like he's, you know what I'm saying? Like he, you know what I'm saying? Like he wants everybody to bend over backwards for his ass, and he talks a lot of shit, and then insults a lot of people, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to fucking like, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, we that's cool. No, I'm not cool. I'm not cool with him labeling people and all that stuff, man. Because like I said, I'm from a place where I was a minority as a white person. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, you know what I mean? I'm not buying that shit. I was a minority in my city and my county, and I had to fight black people every day. You know what I mean? Over some racist shit, and he reminds me of the people that I grew up with. But like I said, I still got love for a lot of black people if they respect. But I'm not gonna put up with that. He's always talking about race and all that shit all the fucking time. I ain't got time for that.
All right.
Don't play the race card all the time. And expect somebody to, it's like, oh well, I don't get the fans and stuff because everybody's racist, and it's because I'm black. I don't get this and I don't get that. I don't get their attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, Anthony Joshua, he's a star. You know what I'm saying? What's up with him?
Yeah, true. True.
So
yeah, we had this conversation not too long ago.
I respect Joshua. I mean, I like I said, I can't stand to hear that shit. It just gets on my nerves. But I want the dude to get knocked out. Just because of that, man. Because the guy's cocky. He's not just cocky, but he thinks that he thinks he could bully everybody and all this other bullshit. Like go around and just talk shit, and then if somebody checks him on it, then all of a sudden I'm gonna beat your ass and all this shit. Well, let me tell you something. He's a boxer. Okay, it's fighters out there besides that actually fight. You know what I'm saying? MMA street fighters that can do all kind of shit, and he's gonna run up on the wrong guy and get his ass tore up.
Don't
he
you
thinks
think
I'm a boxer where I can just beat everybody's ass.
Don't you think
Well,
though, this is kind of his way of promoting himself in the sense that he's going to get people to watch him, even if you watch him to get knocked out?
Well, hey, it could be, but I mean, he's like I said, he's from Alabama. I'm from Georgia. Ain't that much damn difference, you know what I'm saying? From where we're from, as far as all the shit he talks. I see where he's coming from. But like I said, from my point of view, no, because like I said, I know where, like I said, I know the place that he's from, and it's a lot of racism both ways, black and white, in the South. And trust me, man, I know all about it. So that right there is like his life. You know what I'm saying? That's his life story. And,
well, Eric, I can attest to that because I lived in South Carolina for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of things there that I don't see here.
Oh, well, you got to think this too. In the South, man, we're not segregated like up north. You know what I'm saying? Like they always talk about, well, the South was segregated before the Jim Crow and all that stuff. But to be honest with you, after the segregation ended, the South is not segregated. The North is more segregated because they got everybody has their own community. Down here, everybody's together. We all in the same boat. So we actually have more racial harmony now. But then you got some jackass from somewhere that ain't nowhere from around here trying to stir up shit because they live in segregation. Whether it's in LA or New York, the big cities, they're all segregated in the big cities. And then they got all this racist stuff, all this shit because they don't live together. So they don't understand. They talk a lot of shit because they don't got to see each other. We got to see each other every fucking day. We can't be talking shit to our neighbors. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the same in the South. Everybody lives next to each other. It's not like that. I mean, yeah, you got your ghettos and shit like that, but it's really not. It's not like that,
Right.
Well,
talk. Thank you so
much.
I can see your point because he's not a good he's not a good representative of the South. He's got a platform where he could represent the South a lot better than what he does.
Yeah, and most people, most African American people from the South, it's like it's changed. It's a lot different. You don't hear a lot of people in the South, black people talking a lot of shit about white people or vice versa. It's like, but then you're gonna hear some shit on the media. The media is gonna sit there and portray all this bullshit about racism and shit. Yeah, cops still fuck up black people. They do. And I don't agree with the shit. It's not fair. They do get treated unfairly. But as far as the fucking people, we can't control that shit. I ain't gonna have somebody labeling me because I'm white.
All right, guys.
White people this, white people that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I ain't got shit to do with that. I can't control that.
We're gonna have to get.
And goddamn it, it's not my job.
We're gonna have to get running.
But anyway,
right?
let's get to.
Appreciate the call, man. Thank you, sir.
Speak on the what is it, Canelo Triple G.
We got to move along. Real talk. We have to move along here. We got to move forward. So there you go. All right. 706. 706. And this is Jason. Now, Jason asked me to do a intro for him because he calls in a lot. And he says, can you do an intro for me? We have an intro for him. It was the baby crying. Jason apparently didn't like the intro. I can't make any promises. But let's see if this theme plays because we've been having trouble with our audio. Here we go. Jason's new theme.
He's a fucking mental case is what he is.
Oh, Robert. Robert, you just ruined the theme. Robert, what's the matter with you? This is Jason. Jason, are you on the line here?
Eric,
Jason,
you did
are you
that
on the line?
Purpose, man.
I didn't say it. Jason, are you on the line?
Who's a mental case? Robbie, are you in a mental institution right now? Are you okay, buddy?
Terrible.
What's up,
Terrible.
Jason? No, Eric did that on purpose.
I did
that
no
was
such
bad,
thing,
Eric.
Robert. That was
What
you.
was bad? What was bad? He put your soundtrack at the end. That's
That was you. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
that
terrible.
was bad, Eric.
Jason, we all apologize. That was
I'm pretty
awful.
sure you guys. Colluded together to make that happen.
He ruined it, Jason.
No.
He ruined it.
Hey, what's that top rank card that's going on ESPN next? That Robbie, you were talking about. Who's fighting on top rank ESPN?
That's not a good card at all, Jason. That's Ray Beltran fighting somebody, and then David.
But I had a question. I was saying, you were calling the PBC card trash, but you didn't say the top rank card was trash. I was wondering why that was.
Let's be honest. All 3 cards that we're going to see on US TV. They all have improvements.
But don't you think Alexander and Ortiz is probably the most 50-50 fight there is that night?
Yeah, but who cares?
No.
Yeah, can you pick a winner in there? Like, can you clearly pick a winner in that fight?
I think Devin Alexander is going to win with no problem. That's my feeling.
I don't know. I like the fight, man.
I don't think Victor's got anything left.
Yeah.
I actually like the fight.
What were you going to say, Beeb?
I like the fight. I agree. You know, as I've said, both those guys are probably not at the top of their game right now, but they seem to be at the same level. They're both at a crossroads, and I think it makes for an interesting fight.
Yeah, it's like a crossroads fight, and UFC has these kind of fights all the fucking time, and they're on main Fox also. Like Ronda Rousey's boyfriend, who had like 3 or 4 straight losses, was fighting on the main Fox, some guy like a few months ago. But he's retired now, so they have these kind of fights also.
Boy,
I mean, I kind of wished the fight that's happening on Showtime. What's the fight that's coming on Showtime soon? I wish what's the fight coming on Showtime, man?
Danny Garcia, Brandon Rios.
Yeah, I think that could have been on this, but I think they probably wanted Showtime to pay for that fight because that card is going to cost more. So, they've already paid for this date, so they have to put something there, and they found the best names available. I'm sure Ortiz and Alexander could probably pull in 1 million ratings like Guerrero and Omar did. They pulled like 1 million ratings. I'm sure they'll do the same. That's what I'm guessing.
Like it or not, that's a garbage card.
I'm sure their ratings will be decent because it'll be easy for people to find. But Beeb, I understand your point about liking the fight. I just don't think it's going to last very long.
But
why isn't it going to last very long?
Better than most gold.
Why isn't this fight going to last very long? Because Devin Alexander is not a big puncher.
No,
he doesn't do well against aggressive fighters. He doesn't do well against aggressive fighters. And this is a good opponent for Victor Ortiz, man.
I just don't care about the fight. I think it's neither one of these guys to me are going anywhere in the welterweight division. They're both past their prime. They're both I don't
it's not a significant fight, but it's an interesting fight based upon where both guys are in their careers. Both of these guys are arguably on the same level right now. That's why I like the fight, because I don't know. I like fights that I don't know who's going to win.
Right.
This is one of those fights. I don't really know.
Than Linares versus Gesta for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know the winner of this fight. That's why I like it.
But it won't be more entertaining than George Groves versus Chris Eubank.
No, and that's
Eric, all those fights are streaming live, man. Stop confusing the fans. You keep saying they might be. They're definitely being streamed. All fights, finals, semifinals, everything. So tell the fans. As
usual, Jason is misinformed. And if you listen to me, I said they will be on Ringside Reporter because the World Boxing Super Series is streaming them, and we're going to put them on Ringside Reporter. See what happens.
You said they might be. You're not sure. You said that also, but they definitely are. And tell everybody to go to the WBSS YouTube channel and subscribe. Hook them up. Give them a plug.
Just go to Ringside Reporter. Watch it there. Just go there, son.
And also, man, this last caller, dude. This last caller is kind of from around my neck of the woods, and he was talking about Wilder being racist. Wasn't it Joshua that a few months ago was calling black people a superior race? So what the fuck is he talking about?
He sure did.
Jesus Christ.
He sure did.
Wilder
was saying he's not as popular because he's black, I think that's what Wilder said. He wasn't as popular or something like that because he's black. And listen, I mean, we had talked about this when it happened. And the thing is, like I said, man, Wilder can say whatever he wants to promote himself. He needs to say whatever he wants. He can promote himself. So that's the deal.
I think he's actually doing good by himself. I think he's actually doing good by himself. And I commend him. And I think what he's doing, it sounds controversial, it sounds edgy, but I think that it's getting a response, and that's what he needs. He needs a response. And it's not totally over the top. Whether you agree with it or not, I think people are starting to listen, and I am not a big fan of the way he has been promoted by his promoters, but I like the way he's self-promoted himself, and I think this is all part of the self-promotion. I really believe that.
I think so too. You talk to him, he's like,
I really believe that.
I don't think any other American promoter could have promoted him any better, because they're not promoting any other fighters any better. I mean, most of the fighters on the De La Hoya's company, they don't sell 10,000 or 12,000 tickets like Wilder's selling. So I don't really get how they would have promoted him better when he's doing pretty damn fine himself. I mean, guys on Oscar's roster sell like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 tickets in California, and Wilder sold like 12K in New York, and he's not even from there. So, and that was with Lou DiBella's help, and that's pretty fucking deep. Who else is selling these kind of tickets besides Crawford, maybe in Omaha? And he sold like, I think Wilder sold like 10K in Alabama, which was like pretty much by himself, self-promotion. And most of his fan base was white. If you saw the crowd, it was mostly white. So I don't think he's doing that bad compared to what fucking other heavyweights are doing. Parker's last fight was in a fucking pool hall in New Zealand, and all these fucking lying ass British fans say, "Oh, Wilder can't even sell out a pool hall," when it's Parker the one who fights in pool halls. I mean, that's how dishonest these British fans are. Nobody calls them out on this shit.
It doesn't matter. Joshua's selling out 80,000 seat arenas. So what? Parker's not even.
What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about British fans lying about Wilder not being able to sell a pool hall. That's just a lie. That's what Parker. That's where Parker fights at. He fights at pool halls in New Zealand.
Sell out in Alabama,
so let's not lie about Wilder not being able to sell anything.
Sell out in Alabama. He didn't even sell it out.
What? So what? He sold 10,000 tickets. Who else is selling 10,000 tickets in the heavyweight division besides Joshua? Who does?
Joshua, 90,000.
Is there any other heavyweight in the fucking world besides Joshua that sells that many tickets?
Who else is popular?
So Wilder's the number 2 seller in the world, right? Wilder's the number 2 seller in the world, right?
Okay, by like a mile back.
Yeah, so why is he picking the number 4 or number 5 seller? Like Parker, what does Parker bring to the table? Even Eddie Hearn says Parker doesn't bring any money from New Zealand TV rights, anything. He said New Zealand TV rights are peanuts compared to American TV rights. That's what Eddie Hearn said.
He doesn't have to.
But the problem is, Jason, Wilder.
He doesn't have to. He said he wants all the belts. Eric, what are you talking about? You talk like you say one thing one day and the next. Joshua said he wants all the belts, so he has to fight him. Why do you keep saying he doesn't have to fight him when he wants all the belts? That makes no sense.
He doesn't, because he doesn't need it. Money-wise, he doesn't need it. He can make just as much money.
He said he wants all the belts, Eric. Did you not hear me? He said he wants all the belts.
Listen, man, it's not about the belts. Everybody knows
that. I mean, this is sickening. Like American fans like you making excuses for a fucking British buck, trying to make excuses for him not to fight the American champ. That's crazy.
Son, you have
with fans like American fans like Eric, who needs enemies? I mean, really.
What are you talking about, son?
I think the problem though with Wilder.
I mean,
you're completely.
Nobody in England would ever say some dumb shit like that about their champion. What Eric and Robbie shit on Wilder.
Yeah, but I think the problem.
Whether you like it or not, Joshua is the best heavyweight in the world.
Okay,
guys like Gilberto Ramirez have like 37 fights. Who have they fought?
All right,
you guys shit all over fucking Wilder.
Let Robbie talk
about Gilberto Ramirez's resume. Can we talk about that?
No, let Robbie talk here for a minute. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, whether you like it or not, Joshua has proven to be the best heavyweight in the world.
What do you shit on Gilberto Ramirez's resume, Robbie?
Well, who cares? We're not talking about him.
Listen to the show last week. We talked about that.
Right.
What the hell?
What about the 30? Who is he beating? I mean, he gets all this hype. He's a great Mexican fighter. Who is he beating?
I hate your phone calls sometimes. They don't make any sense.
Right.
Why? Because you're all over Wilder, and you say he never fights anybody, and you never say shit like that about Gilberto Ramirez. Why the fuck is that? Because you don't like getting called out. That's why you don't like my calls.
I don't like your calls because you make no sense.
We talked about him last week. Where the hell were you?
You make no sense.
Yeah, I heard you, but you didn't say
how is it we're talking about Deontay?
Like you guys talk about Wilder. You never say that.
Hold on. I'm going to put you, I'm going to mute you for a second. We're going to bring you back on here. Listen, here's the point. We were talking about Wilder and we were talking about Joshua. All of a sudden, when he gets caught, he wants to bring up Gilberto Ramirez because he has no comeback. That's the point.
I
think the big problem
about that last week, Eric.
Go ahead.
I think the big problem is people are like, he's saying that, why aren't people talking about Wilder and they're talking about Joshua or whatever. The American fans aren't really getting behind Wilder enough.
He's got a promoter too.
But the thing is this, Wilder keeps bringing up Joshua's name. He keeps making the comparison. So that's why we're making the comparison, because he keeps making the comparison.
Right. Joshua, Wilder needs Joshua. Joshua doesn't need him. Joshua's facing name opponents. The only name on Wilder's resume, the only one is Bermain Stavern. That's it.
But Joshua will eventually run out of opponents. Let's be honest about that. Let's be honest about that. And then Deontay Wilder will be the last man standing, and they'll have to fight him.
Right.
There'll be no one else left.
That's correct.
All right, Jason, we're going to bring you back on. All right.
Wilder, I mean, only name on Joshua's resume is a 40-year-old lad coming off a retirement and a loss. What else does he have on his resume?
I tell you what, I would take Klitschko over Stavern.
He has one fucking name that's a 40-year-old grandpa, and now he doesn't need Wilder? Really?
I would take him over Stavern, wouldn't you? Who's
so
the bigger name?
You just want him to have one name on his fucking resume, and you're happy now? I mean, that makes no fucking sense, Eric. That makes no sense at all.
Who's the bigger name?
I think he needs Wilder.
I think he doesn't need him. He doesn't need him. As a fan, you're supposed to say he should fight him. You should be like, yeah, he should fight him. He's only fought one fucking guy. Who else has he fought?
Let me get in real quick, Jason. Let me get in real quick. He needs him for credibility. He needs him. He does need him for credibility. Joshua does, I think, because he can only ride so long on that Klitschko victory, and people are already starting to tear that one apart as well. You're not the only one that's saying the 40-year-old man, whatever. But he needs him for credibility, but I don't think he needs him financial wise. Whereas I think Wilder does.
I never said that, but I mean, come on, nobody's stupid enough to say he needs him financially. Nobody needs Wilder for their finances. Even Vlad didn't. That's why Vlad never fought him. But even if you watch the post fight with Max Kellerman after the Vlad fight, he said, "Do you have any message for your American fans?" The first thing out of this fucking duck's mouth was, "Shout out to Shannon the Cannon Briggs. We out here. Let's go, champ." And Max is like, I was hoping you would mention Wilder. He's like, we don't duck nobody. Only 20 fights in the game. We're going at our own pace. He doesn't want to fight Wilder. I mean, he was so fucking clear. And everybody's like, oh, Wilder's scared, this and that. I mean, if you go watch that Max Kellerman interview, he was fucking scared. Like, he was like shifting and twitching when Max put him on the spot and told him, I thought you were going to talk about Wilder. He's like, we don't duck or dodge anybody, but I'm only 20 fights in the game, so we'll see what we're going to do next. I mean, so that's and then
anybody.
His dad, Eddie Hearn's dad, came out and said 2 weeks ago, we're not fighting Wilder next, guaranteed.
Yeah.
He pretty much said it's guaranteed. We're not fighting
anybody on Wilder's record, anybody that would have beat Dylan White. That's what I thought.
would have beat that fucking Dylan White. Dylan White's looked like shit the past 3 fights. Have you even seen him? What are you talking about?
No, he wouldn't have. Get out of
here.
Dylan
White went like 10 rounds with a cat
last couple
driver on
fights?
Crawford's undercard in Omaha.
Last couple? Get out of here, man. You got nothing.
Yeah, did you watch him on Crawford's undercard?
You got nothing.
He was so out of shape. His promoter put him on the 8-rounder, Eric. What are you talking about? That's how fucking shit he is.
Yeah, okay. You got nothing because Wilder's got nobody on his record.
Why would his promoter put him in an 8-rounder in Omaha? Why would he do that?
He's got nobody on his record. Like it or not. Joshua doesn't need him. Joshua doesn't need him. That's it.
Joshua has one guy on his record, and now you're content with him ducking Wilder for another 2 years.
That guy on his record?
Excuse me.
Dylan White. He's got Dylan White. He's got Klitschko. He's got Brazil.
Dylan White. Who's Dylan White? What did Dylan White do? How did Dylan White become a name? He's not a name. What are you talking about?
What do you mean he's not a name? He's a name.
Eric, you can't have a sensible conversation with him.
Stavern's got a way better resume than Dylan White if you want to go by facts, if you want to look at BoxRec.
Great, but Stavern couldn't beat Dylan White. That's what I'm saying.
Beeb, you don't think Stavern can beat Dylan White?
Absolutely.
Dylan White?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Absolutely
not.
I'm sorry. I don't see it. No.
So what, you think Dylan White's a sure win in that fight?
I would bet him heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
If I could get decent odds, I'd bet him.
I don't think it's anything more than a 50-50 or 60-40 fight.
Let me ask you this. The fight gets signed tomorrow. What do you think the odds are going to be?
Yeah, but Stavern's not the same anymore like he was.
Take him in his fight. Take him when he fought Wilder. Take him when he fought.
Let's take the Dillian White. Let's take the Dillian White that fought Joshua versus the Stavern that fought Wilder. What are the odds going to be?
I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think.
But what's the line? What does everyone else? What does everyone else think the fight is, though? I know, but what does everyone else think the fight is? What will the odds be?
Right.
Would Dillian White be favored?
Is Dylan White favored over Lucas Brown?
I believe so.
Lucas Brown is a total bum with a resume full of fucking Euro cab drivers, literally. guys with 30 losses, 40 losses, 50 losses. That's who he's fighting. And that's like one of the
But answer my question. Would Dillian White be favored? Answer my question. Would Dillian White be favored over Bermane Stiverne?
Boom.
Can't answer the question.
Can't.
Prime versus Prime, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
What would the odds be? In your opinion, what would the odds be?
Yep.
Who would be favored if in Vegas?
I don't know, but I'm not good with odds. I'm not really a bettor, but
yeah, he knows who.
He knows Dylan White. Though. Thanks for letting me call.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Thanks.
He got shredded, son.
Another tap out.
Yeah, he tapped out big time. Well, he becoming the Adrian Broner Ringside Reporter.
Brown, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric Rose. That's in the chat.
Call, and then there are times that his calls suck.
Well, he does. You know, he knows. Look, when he calls up late, he knows when he's wrong, but his inability to admit when he's wrong just kills him. It just kills him.
Yeah.
Is Corey on hold?
Probably.
Is Corey on hold? 804.
Hey.
Corey.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
I had no idea you were holding. I didn't see you in the chat every 5 minutes saying Corey's on hold. I didn't see that.
Hey, I wasn't the only one saying Corey for y'all to unmute.
He wasn't. Hand Raps was
let
very
Corey
happy. Yeah, very happy that you called in. And so are we. Corey, what's on your mind? Are you doing a YouTube channel? What's going on?
Yeah, man, I got a lot of requests, man, because I'm on this other show for non-international, and he just goes for maybe 2 hours sometimes, and you know what I'm saying. I just weigh in sometimes, and a couple guys was just, they weren't hating enough, and they were being, good, true boxing fans, and I had some facts, and they were just like, man, Corey, you should start your own show. And
well, congratulations, man, that's good for you. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, I already got I made my first video a week ago, and it was on the Dorticos fight, and that's got already 250 views already.
Good for you, man.
I'm just trying to keep it going, man. I don't make videos every day, but maybe every other day, you know what I'm saying? If I got something on my mind or if it's breaking news, I'll put it on there. But yeah, man, it's just Corey Lee. Corey Lee's my YouTube channel is Corey Lee. But back to what y'all were doing, man. I love the show, man. I love everything y'all doing. Positivity is key. I'm not here to bring y'all down. I'm here to bring y'all up. I don't know what the fuck the last couple calls have been talking about. Y'all had everybody snoozing in the chat. I mean, it's just awful, man. I don't know whose selection. We need to start USADA. We need a USADA program for all callers.
We need to get some screens. Screen callers.
That's sick.
Yeah, in other words, all callers have got to pass a drug test, man. That's cool. I like that.
But yeah, I got the George Groves Chris Eubank Jr. fight coming up, man. I got Chris Eubank Jr. by knockout, vicious knockout. I think he's gonna I think this fight is gonna catapult one or the other's career. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to go both ways. It's not going to go, in between. I feel like the winner of this fight is going to win the tournament. And I mean, to be honest with you, I want to say that they're going to win the tournament, but then again, we got Callum Smith. He's coming
90 seconds.
Only undefeated fighter that's still left out of 4 brothers. And they're all of them have losses on the record other than his last one, Callum Smith. They say he's a chosen one out of the Smith brothers.
It's crazy.
So they said that he is the one to, after all the sparring and everything, he's one of the toughest fighters from that area. And that they said that he's battle tested.
60 seconds.
I'm looking at some of the YouTube videos, and they were saying that he gives good work out there. And you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got Chris Eubank Jr. winning that fight, and then I got Chris Eubank Jr. winning the finals. I had Usyk and Chris Eubank winning both fights in the World Boxing Series.
That's what I had
but
too.
Other than that, so yeah, you had the same thing.
Yep. That Usyk and Eubank.
So
Jr.
yeah, and this is what I really want to talk about today, y'all. I know it's a couple weeks away, but I really want to talk about this. This was y'all. The subject that I want to talk about today, y'all. It was on y'all's train record a week. Adrian.
10 seconds.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
He's got a fight coming up
Yeah.
with a guy named Omar Figueroa. Let me tell you
Good
right
fighter.
now. Let me tell you right here and right now. Omar Figueroa is gonna knock Adrian Broner the bleep out. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all heard it here first. And I'm gonna win. And I'm going undefeated this year with my picks. And I'm gonna win.
You've got to ask yourself, after what he just pulled, what kind of frame of mind is Broner in? Is he even training for the fight? Is he taking it seriously?
Listen, Robbie. When they first announced this fight with Adrian Broner and Omar Figueroa, I automatically did my research on Omar Figueroa. I knew he fought Robert Garcia. I knew he fought DeMarco. I knew he fought a couple other guys. I wanted to go deeper than that. I wanted to go into camp. I wanted to see what guys were saying about him in camp. Every person that's talked about Omar Figueroa in camp is say he's a vicious body puncher. And he beat Earl Spence in the amateurs. Honestly. He stopped Earl Spence from going to the U.S. Championships that year. And Omar Figueroa said he didn't have any time to train for that fight when they fought. And they said that he fought on short notice. He said his dad entered him into a boxing tournament that he was during baseball season. Omar Figueroa went to the University of Texas, I believe. Or I think it's the University of Texas. Yeah, University of Texas. So he had different sports, and his dad said, you got to pick one. That's when he picked boxing. Omar Figueroa has ballooned all the way up to 200 pounds in the off season of when he doesn't have a fight. I mean, you got to understand. I think they're fighting at 140. Is that on record?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
140.
so he's fighting at 140. He's fighting at 140, y'all. Let me tell y'all something. This dude Omar Figueroa demolished Robert Garcia. I know that was the old version of Robert Garcia.
You mean Mikey Garcia, don't you?
Right, he beat Robert Garcia, Robbie.
Oh, okay. All right.
Roberto Guerrero.
My shit, dude. Yeah.
Oh, Roberto Garcia. Okay, that's right. Roberto Garcia, not okay.
Roberto Guerrero.
Omar Figueroa knocked the fuck out Robert Garcia, the same Robert Garcia at 147 that fought Mayweather. Do your research. He knocked him out. All right, and he knocked him down like 3 or 4 times in the fight. It wasn't a highly publicized fight. That's probably why you forgot about it. But go do your research and go replay that fight. That says a lot. Chris Thurman wasn't able to do that to Robert Garcia. Floyd Mayweather wasn't able to do that to Robert Garcia.
Roberto Guerrero.
It's Roberto Guerrero.
You mean Roberto Guerrero?
It's Roberto Guerrero.
Robert Guerrero,
Yeah.
Roberto, yeah, that's
Robert
right.
Guerrero. But you know
He did a ton
what
of
I'm
research
talking about, because he fought Mayweather and he fought Danny Garcia. And
Yeah, Roberto Guerrero is who you're talking about. Okay, all right.
Robert. So look, this is what I'm trying to tell y'all. None of those fighters did what he did to Robert Guerrero. Did you know that?
Robert Guerrero was on his way out, though. He's on his last legs.
But come on,
That's right.
All I'm saying is, none of the premier fighters that he fought in his career did that to him, man.
Yeah, but you know what? He may win the fight. I'm not saying. Listen, I think the Broner fight is a 50-50 fight. I really do.
And I'm gonna tell y'all this. And I'm gonna tell y'all this on a side note, man. There was an interview about a couple days ago, maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia's dad. Angel Garcia gives no one credit. He barely ever gives no one credit. He said early on in Danny Garcia's career, I think it was right before he became a champion, he had Omar Figueroa in camp, and he said, listen here, Adrian Broner has to be 100% to beat Omar Figueroa. He said Omar Figueroa can switch hands, and he can give a lot of guys trouble. He said, I know he had a weight problem for a little while, but if you get Omar Figueroa ready for a fight, he said he said it without saying it, but he's pretty much said that he gave Danny Garcia trouble in camp. He said, man, that motherfucker he'll turn his body one way and he'll hit you with a left hook. You won't even see it coming. He said, and those are telling signs, because when you don't see a punch coming, those are the ones that hurt you the worst. And Omar Figueroa is king of that. He didn't beat Earl Spence in the amateurs by his looks. He decisively beat Earl Spence because he was switching. Yeah. He can go southpaw and orthodox.
I don't know.
Omar Figueroa is a fucking beast, man.
Augie Sanchez beat Floyd Mayweather in the amateurs too. So I don't put much stock into what happens in the amateurs. But I could see Figueroa beating Brawner. I don't see him knocking him out though.
Fighter, man.
He's not knocking out Brawner. He may beat Brawner. He ain't knocking him out.
Hey, B, who do you got winning? Adrian Broner, Omar Figueroa. Who do you got, dude?
I'm going to take Figueroa. I'm taking Figueroa.
See, there you go, Eric. You got to know, man, me and Beebs with Beebs and Corey Lee's Industries, we do our research over here, baby.
Oh, wow. He didn't even know who he fought. He thought he fought Garcia.
I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about the Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz fight coming up, man. I got Deontay Wilder by a vicious knockout, man. If Deontay Wilder doesn't knock out Luis Ortiz, I'm willing to do a pie bet. I'm taking all comers.
Well, we know how Corey pays up on his bets. So if anybody wants to do a pie bet with him,
he really does.
No. We're being for real.
Remember he picked David Hay and he didn't pay up.
I felt so bad for Corey that day. I felt so bad for Corey because David Hay just got destroyed. And that's his idol.
I got my own channel. Come on, man. What are you talking about, man? But listen, I'm picking Deontay Wilder because I think he's got a undeniable power in his right hand, and I think that's the southpaw's downfall is a good right hand. What do you think, B?
I like Wilder. I see him winning by stoppage.
Why do you like Wilder, B?
I think Wilder is in better shape. I think he's more active. I think that right hand is a right hand from hell. I don't think that many guys could withstand that. And Ortiz is the type of guy, he kind of lays back and shells up a lot, and he could be outworked. So I think that Wilder can hit him from a distance, and he'll be able to really turn that right hand over from a distance. And I think Ortiz is going to have a hard time getting to Wilder. So I like Wilder.
And listen. I know I'm switching subjects like hell, man. But did y'all just hear? I don't know if y'all talked about it today, man. But there was breaking news this morning, man. WBC president Suleiman, I think his name is, went on record this morning and said Mikey Garcia's next fight must be Jorge Linares, or they're stripping him of the WBC belt. Did y'all hear that?
It doesn't matter.
No, I didn't hear that
because
I didn't hear that. But
that's
good news. But the only problem is, it looks like Linares may fight Lomachenko first, and if that's the case, Linares ain't going to have that belt anymore.
They said Lomachenko is fighting Pacquiao. They said Lomachenko. They're in serious talks right now, and that they're fighting Pacquiao on the Terrence Crawford undercard. What do you think about
I won't believe that till it's signed.
That fight ain't happening.
No, I'm being honest. They've talked about that already, Eric.
I believe that you read it somewhere, but that fight's not happening.
No.
Oh, this guy.
Pacquiao's going to fight Alvarado.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or Lucas
what
Batista.
I'm saying is, with the whole Mikey Garcia thing, man. Like I was saying last time, Robert Easter Jr. didn't look good on his last fight. But I'm saying, do y'all still think he could give Mikey Garcia trouble after weighing out all the options that Mikey Garcia has?
Who?
I know
Robert Easter.
I mean, I know Robert Easter is. Yeah, I know Robert Easter is down the line for Mikey Garcia, and for them, you know. But they were very close to negotiations, and I'm pretty sure Mikey Garcia wanted more of the pie. But he, you know what I'm saying? So I honestly think that would have been a good fight, Robert Easter versus Mikey Garcia. I think that would have been a better fight than what a lot of people think.
I think Easter gives anybody problems. He gives anybody problems.
That's what I'm saying, and this is another thing. This is another thing y'all have to think about that I was thinking about the other day. That I was thinking about making a video about. What happens when Gervonta Davis moves up? Because it's undoubtedly he's gonna move up to 135 because he's at 130 now. And when he moves up to 135, does he fight Robert Easter Jr. first? What do y'all think about that matchup? I think that's a damn good matchup.
I think that's a good.
And I think that's a makeable fight. I think that's a makeable fight. They're both with Al Heyman. Mayweather loves the attention. That's an attention-grabbing fight. It'll be Broner versus CMC again. What do y'all think about it?
I don't know. I like the fight. I mean, I like if it happens. I don't know that it happens. I know they're looking to protect Davis, but I don't think they put him in there with Easter.
You don't think they're going to put him in with Easter? I mean, he can barely make 130 now. I mean, he can barely make 130 now. He's missed 130.
When was the last time Davis fought? When was the last time he fought?
He fought in England, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he go over there in England with the Michael Jackson costume?
Yeah, I don't remember like the last time he fought though. I remember, watching it, but I don't remember the last time.
The last time Davis fought, you mean?
He's had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of problems too, man. He needs some get back fights and then get back in the mix. I mean, at least get back in the in the names and stuff like that.
The last time Davis fought, Corey, was on the Mayweather-McGregor undercard, August 26th.
Oh, so he fought on August 26th.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since.
Yeah.
He fought Francisco Fonseca. He lost
his title on the scale.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
he didn't make weight.
He stopped the guy by 8th round knockout.
Yeah, but he lost his title on the scale. He didn't make weight.
That's why I'm saying I think he should move up to 135 and fight Robert Easter. That's the whole reason with me saying it, Robbie. But that's what I was saying. Another thing is that he's fighting on April 21st, CBA. Who do y'all think Gervonta Davis is going to fight?
He's going to be on the undercard. He's going to be on the undercard, Corey.
They said he's fighting.
Corey, he's going to be on. He's going to be on the undercard, Corey, of the Adrian Broner fight.
Right.
That's the day the Broner fight happens.
They said he's fighting a guy from Australia. What is it, Billy Dibb?
Yep.
I don't think Billy Dibb stands a chance for Gervonta Davis. That's 50 Cent's old fighter.
Yeah, Billy Dibb's gonna get murked.
And
that's why Billy Dibbs is being brought in there. They want to protect Davis. You know how Floyd is.
Showcase fight, baby.
They're totally protecting Davis.
You gotta protect your investment, Beeb. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So for the other fight coming up, the Devin Alexander versus Ortiz fight coming up, I've got Devin Alexander by a very dull 12-round decision.
Yep.
Nobody's getting knocked out in that fight.
Nope.
Nobody's getting knocked out in that fight. And
I don't even care about that fight. It's going to be boring as hell.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch that fight.
I'm sorry that you think like that, Robbie. But there's another fight coming on later. I think it's a double header, right? Later at Showtime, right? Isn't it Danny Garcia same day?
That's right. That's the Danny Garcia fight.
Danny Garcia. I got who's on the Danny Garcia undercard? Is it
that's the David Benavidez fight.
Gabriel and Benavidez.
Okay, so
yeah.
Which Charlo brother is fighting coming up? Because he's in training camp right now. Doing a lot of promotional stuff with him. He's fighting coming up on one of the undercards. I forgot which one it is. But the Benavidez Gravel fight, I actually got Gravel winning that fight. I got Gravel winning that fight. I did a lot of research on Gravel. He had a very, very good amateur record. They said it, you know, I didn't watch the whole fight for Gravel. Benavidez won, but I heard it was a very competitive fight. You know, Gravel gave him hell. And I honestly think that it's just Gravel's, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. I think this is Gravel's last chance to actually get a title shot. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he has Mayweather backing him, but how many chances can you get? You know what I'm saying? I mean, these TMT fighters are getting brought along. I mean, like, you know, fucking, I feel like they're just getting their hand. I feel like Mayweather's holding their hand to the fucking ring. They're not getting fought any tough fights in there. Mayweather's like, I fought this person coming up. I fought that person coming up. Why don't you put your fucking... See, what happened was... Mayweather
well, Corey, he's doing that with Badu Jack. Badu Jack is fighting Adonis Stevenson.
That's one fighter out of a stable of 30, Robbie. 30, Robbie. So, I mean, I got... You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Jay Leon Love is a prime example. He got floored and they even put him in hard again. Porky Medina had his legs shaking on the fucking mat. Come on, man. He don't want to see that happen again. I feel like once he's seen his investment go down the hill like that, and to be honest with you, Beeb, you know, I'm being honest with all y'all right now, but Beebs know what I'm talking about this. I honestly think, and this is another thing that y'all need to think about when y'all see Mayweather at his fight, at his fighter's fight. Obviously, he's going to be there because that's his investment. Beans, I honestly think he's betting on his fighters, man.
Wow.
See how he reacted when and this is not what I say. This is on a lot of blogs. They said that he showed that he bet on one of his fighters before. The fighter that he won. Just imagine the fighters that actually lost, like the Beeb versus Molina fight. Did y'all see that fight? That was an awesome fight, man. The 12-round knockout, man. Molina came back and fought Bay and beat Bay at the end of the 12 rounds, and Mayweather was front row. You could see his life change before his eyes in that fight, man. I mean, he was just cheering. It's like, you know, Mickey Bay won all 12 rounds. He was doing all 11 rounds, cheering him on, cheering him on, cheering him on, cheering him on. And it's like, soon as fucking Bay looked in the crowd and waved at fucking Mayweather, like, yo, I got this. With a minute to go in the 12th round, the fucking telecasters were like, he needs a home run to win this fight. God damn it, if he didn't get a home run in front of Mayweather, Molina fucking knocked Mickey Bay out for the title too, I believe. And fucking Mayweather's face, guys, look at that fight again. Mayweather's face, like, God damn you, I just lost 500,000 on you. Fuck you. I think that's why he bought the guy Badu Jack a Rolex when he won his first title. He invests more than time and gives the fighters their purse. I honestly think he bets on his fighters, man.
Because he's a degenerate gambler. Of course he bets on his fighters.
What do you think about that?
He's a well-known degenerate gambler.
I wouldn't put it past him, man. I wouldn't put it past him. It could be true.
He is a well-known degenerate gambler. Well-known.
So do y'all, and this is the last thing I gotta say tonight, y'all. Do y'all honestly think that Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder?
No.
No, we've said it before, Corey. Joshua doesn't need Wilder. I mean, eventually they're going to have to fight, but right now he doesn't need him.
But listen to y'all. This is what I'm saying, y'all. Listen to what I'm saying. And this is a good valid point that I'm ready to make right now. Y'all got to look at it on all angles. Don't be biased when I tell y'all this. Keith Thurman pretty much says the same thing that fucking Anthony Joshua says and catches hell from it. Anthony Joshua.
Keith Thurman doesn't want to fight anybody.
Fucking walks away scot-free.
Keith Thurman doesn't want to fight anybody.
Keith Thurman don't want to fight anybody.
Anthony Joshua's fighting name guys. He's fighting name guys. Thurman's fighting nobody.
this is what I'm trying to tell y'all though, man. Like Anthony Joshua told Fight Hype, or is it either I feel London? He told one. He was either one or the other. But he told him. He said, "Look, man." He said, "What about the Wilder fight?" This was like, I think this was the fight before the fight he just fought just now. It was a couple months ago though. It was last year. He said out of his mouth, he said, "We're not ready. We're pretty much not worrying about Wilder right now. We're not fighting Wilder right now." Like he said it like the next couple fights, he's not gonna be fighting Wilder. Keith Thurman says the same thing, and he's a fucking pussy for saying it in y'all eyes. You know what I'm saying? The guy's hurt, man. Keith Thurman's a true warrior. I got Keith Thurman beating Earl Spence. And I'm willing to take a pie bet on that too.
Son, I will give you a pie bet. I will give you a pie bet any day of the week. Errol Spence not only beats him, he blows him out. You don't pay up. Or we bet more than a pie bet.
I'm willing to shave my head. I'm willing to do it
just
all,
like
man.
you were ready to do with David Hayes.
Keith Thurman.
Son, he's getting murked, son.
Listen, Keith Thurman is...
Good call, Corey. Good call.
Robert, cut him off. Robert, cut him off, boy. Wow.
All
right. Robert said he had enough. Robert, cut him off. Yeah, I will take a pie bet with anybody who takes Keith Thurman over Errol Spence, man. Any time. That's easy work right there.
Yeah.
He not only beats Keith
Thurman,
he demolishes Keith Thurman. That fight's not even competitive.
And all you guys calling up trying to defend Wilder, look, that fight will eventually happen. But we've got to be honest here. Joshua is selling out youth stadiums, and he can fight whoever he wants.
Right. And, I mean, he's fighting named guys. I mean, he really is. He's fighting better named guys than Wilder has fought. Dylan White is one of those guys that can beat anybody on Wilder's resume. Anybody. And that's not even the best guy Joshua's fought. So, I mean, come on, man. Real quick before we go right back to the phones, Evander Holyfield getting ready to take on Uncle Sam. Former professional boxer Evander Holyfield has been served with 2 tax liens for unpaid state taxes in Georgia. Unreal. Yeah, this is they said he's got 2 tax liens. One looks like it's for like 17,000 or 37,000. The other one is 18,000. It looks like. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Holyfield doesn't pay up.
Evander, pay up.
If he doesn't pay up, his property and assets in Georgia will be seized. Good luck taking on the man,
pay up,
buddy.
Brother.
Yeah. Good luck taking on the man. Area code 518. You're live.
What's going on? What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Loud and clear. Go ahead, brother.
What's going on, man? It's Tony Teflon the Don. I just want to talk to y'all about a couple of things I heard these couple of guys say real quick, you know what I mean? But, you know, this all disclosures first, I am the person who wrote Deontay Wilder's children's book. So obviously, you know what I mean? That's my man. So let's just say it like this if I can. When you hear Deontay Wilder say, if he was a different race, he would be more popular. If you consider him being white, that statement is 100% true. If you're talking about him, if he was a white man, if he was a white person that had the exact same record, exact same power, he would be probably the most popular athlete in the world, a white American heavyweight champion.
100%.
That's just a fact.
Look at Jerry Cooney. Yeah, absolutely.
So when he's talking, exactly. So when he's talking about it like that, I think that's what he means. Now, when we look at Joshua and Wilder, the only person that is viable that can beat Joshua is Wilder. There's no one else in the heavyweight division that you can say has a chance to beat Joshua but Wilder.
Right.
That's why that fight has to happen. Joshua can fight anyone he wants, and he'll make all the money he wants. But real boxing fans, just like if it was a rap battle, you can either be Vanilla Ice or you can be Eminem. Who do you want to be? The guy making the money that's really not considered the greatest, or the guy who really is considered the greatest? So that's what he'll have to do eventually. He'll have to get to Wilder. And nothing else will matter. No matter who he fights, it will never be seen credible. unless he fights Deontay Wilder.
But the problem you have with the Wilder-Joshua fight, Wilder thinks he's going to get it on a 50-50 table, and there is no way that'll ever happen because Joshua can prove with ticket sales alone, I can sell out a 100,000-seat stadium, and you can't do that.
Well, it will never. This is all negotiation. So whatever he says in public, he's just saying in public. If the fight's going to happen, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? There'll be enough money to go around when the fight happens. But he's going to say what he has to say in public. You know what I mean? He's never going to say in public, hey, I'll do it for 35%. Hey, I'll do it for 25%. You know, no one's going to say that. That's never going to be said in public. So this is why you're hearing these statements come out. And I'm not saying that with any insider information at all. I'm just saying that just as a fan, just like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From what I see. So the way I see it, that's the only way I could see it going down when it comes down to that. As for the other caller who said the thing about Bermane Stiverne, if you look at Bermane Stiverne when he fought Chris Arreola coming off that fight, if he fought Dylan White, he would have to be favored because he would be the champion. And I think that, and that's just facts, that he would be the champion. And I think that when you look at skill level, the skill set, at that time, Bermane Stiverne looked like a more skillful fighter than Dylan White. And when you give Joshua credit for beating Dylan White and Klitschko, those two names, those are two guys who also almost knocked him out. So when you look at the guys that you're giving them credit for, these are the guys who almost stopped him. So you look at the level of fighter that he is. That's it. He's a little bit above those guys. He almost lost to a guy, Klitschko, who was dominated by Tyson Fury in this fight before. He almost got knocked out by Dylan White with one shot coming in too aggressive. So that is the reason why when you look at Deontay Wilder, they know there's one thing Deontay could do. He's going to hit hard. He's going to hit him. So they're going to say, let's make as much money as we can before we have to take this risk. Because right now, by the fame of Deontay Wilder, the risk isn't worth the reward to them because it's not. He doesn't have enough fame to generate that money.
How do you think the Ortiz fight plays out for Wilder?
I think that when you look at Ortiz and Wilder, to me, I think without the drama, and you look at the body styles, look at Vladimir Klitschko versus Samuel Peter. It's just about the same type of fight. I don't think that this guy is going to, Ortiz can hurt Wilder the way that Klitschko was hurt in that fight. But when you look at the style, if Wilder sticks the jab in his face and hits him with the straight right hand, Ortiz is going down. If you look, and when I hear people say that there's nobody on nobody's record, there's no one in the heavyweight division right now. It's so weak that you can't look at anyone's record and say, oh, there's no one on anyone's record. There's no one there. If you took Andrew Galata in his prime and put him in today's heavyweight division, he would be the #1 contender for every division out there right now, without a doubt, and have a chance to beat everybody out there. And this is a guy who was knocked out in the first round by Lennox Lewis, right? So the division is not as deep as it was back then. So you're not going to have those names on your record. No one has big names on your record. It's just the way it is. Big Baby Miller is almost a top guy now. You know, so if someone beat Big Baby Miller and you put them on his resume, you say, yeah, he beat Big Baby Miller, so what? That's not like beating a Bo or a Holyfield or anyone like that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I can't take Big Baby Miller seriously till he puts himself in better shape.
Of course. And that's why when you look at Deontay Wilder, and I think people got to understand, this is not a guy who started boxing when he was 5 years old. This is a guy who got into it late in the game. He's not a natural at it. He's not natural. His power's natural, but he's not a natural boxer. So he's trained so hard to get to where he has gotten, and he's gotten there while learning on the job. So you haven't seen the best, I don't think, of Deontay, and I think he looks a little better every fight you see him go out to. I don't think we've even seen close to the fighter that he can truly become. If you look at the strategy that the Klitschko's brothers use to dominate the division, Deontay has all those physical abilities that they had, plus more. So why wouldn't he be able to do that?
Don't you think, though, a fighter like Joshua will end up bringing out the best in Wilder when that fight finally does happen?
I think that Joshua will definitely bring the best out of Wilder. I think that Wilder is the guy who can put Joshua over the top, just like Joshua could put Wilder over the top.
Yeah.
When Riddick Bowe was champion, he was going to Mike Tyson in jail. Please get out of jail. I need you. Because he needed that name. Even when Lennox Lewis was champion, even though Mike Tyson still wasn't relevant, Lennox Lewis was beating David Tua and beating everyone that was in the division, he still had to beat Mike Tyson for the recognition. Had to. That's the position they're both in. They have to fight each other no matter who they fight. Until one of them beats the other, they're not going to be recognized as good as they could be. They need each other, and that's the bottom line. That's
well,
you
sound like a legitimate boxing fan, and you sound like you keep up with things. When do you think these two will actually get in the ring? How long is it going to take?
I think it would have to happen by the end of this year. When Wilder wipes the floor with Ortiz and he beats him, I think they have to have it signed at least for to be the fight to go down at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, because I think that he's going to have the belt. This is an easy fight for Joshua, a much easier fight for Joshua than people would say for Wilder, right? If you look at it on paper, that's the way I would see it. But I think Wilder comes through it easy. Joshua comes through it. They're both going to have one more fight. Joshua's going to make a little bit more money. Then the fight's going to have to happen. It's too much buildup. There's too much pressure for it to not to go down. There's too much. It's going to be too much Twitter, too much talk.
Much money.
It'll have to go down at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Even if it lasted a little bit longer, it could be good to build.
Now, do you think there's any significance in Joshua fighting Parker and taking that belt? Does that help him negotiating wise when it comes to the Wilder fight?
Anything that gives that man another belt around his waist helps him in negotiations. I don't really think he really needs any more negotiations. It's not really, truly, it's not the titles. It's just the level of fame. When you have a guy like Anthony Joshua, light-skinned dude, has a little British accent, the girls like him. You know, it's like you know, when you have that overseas, these black women over here, they like that accent on these black men that come over here. It works all the time for them when they come over here. So when you have that and you have that women appeal, that crossover appeal that Joshua has, it's easy for him to sell tickets anywhere he goes. He's got to get up there, smile with Hoda, and that's it. Hoda, oh my God, that's what happens. You know what I mean? All these women in Kathy Lee, they get around him. It's a done deal, and that's what makes him the star that he is.
That's why I've always said on this show, ever since this topic has come up, that Wilder's going to have to go to the UK. I don't think Joshua will come over here.
And he'll go there, and I'm sure he'll go there. He's already was ready to go to Russia. He's willing to go there. See, the whole thing, when it goes down, it's not about the first fight. It's always going to be about the second fight. And Joshua may have the first upper hand in the first fight in negotiations. But in the second fight, if he loses, it all switches to Wilder. It all just goes over to him. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. If Joshua beat Wilder, he would not fight Wilder in a rematch. But if Wilder beat Joshua, there would definitely be a rematch fight.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I think when you look at it that way, that could show you, you know, right now, who's pushing more promotional power right now. And that's just basically really solely on, you know, his appeal to the ladies, his crossover appeal right now, more than his resume. I mean, the guys he fight for, he's where he's at because he's supposed to be where he's at. But as I said, there's really no one in the heavyweight division that you could look at and say it's so deep that you can go and say, oh, he's got him on his record. He's got him on his record. There's no one there to say that.
Well, another advantage Joshua has a real promoter. Deontay Wilder does not.
Well, that's the system that's in place right now in the United States that they're doing right now with their fighters. And I don't know if it's working for these guys or not, you know, but he does have a promoter, Eddie Hearns. He's doing it old school, and this is all Eddie Hearns has. You know what I mean? If Eddie Hearn loses Joshua, that's it. That's his cash cow. That's it. That's his moneymaker. That's his guy. That's it. You know, when you look back at all great promoters from the beginning of time, it's the guy who has really the welterweight, the big welterweight, or the big heavyweight. That is the guy that makes most of the money. It's usually the heavyweight guy. The welterweight's the secondary guy. And Mayweather made it a more popular position recently You know what I mean?
And the middleweight champion too. You know,
middleweights make decent. They make good money, but you never see like when middleweights usually make money when the welterweight moves up to fight them. You know what I mean? When you have a big welterweight star move up. And as for the guy who said he never seen anyone that's skinny that has as much power as Wilder, Thomas the Hitman Hearns has the same power and the same body style and the same skinny legs. And hits
I'm assuming the person that said that's not old enough to remember Tommy Hearns. You know.
You know, that's the way it is with these guys nowadays. I guess they watch these clips on YouTube and everything else. You know, back in my day, you know, you had the VHS tape. You had to record it. You had to put it on long play because to make sure you had enough space to record it.
That's right.
These guys, they don't know they don't know the struggle. You know, that's the struggles that you had to go through. You know, back then and stuff. So you didn't have that stuff back then and all that stuff. You know, now it's just click a button and they get everything. They think they're experts.
That's it. Teflon Don, we got to get running, man. We appreciate the call. Definitely give us a call back next week.
Man.
We love
thank
calls
you.
like this. Yeah, for sure, man.
No, thank you. Thank you, man. No doubt. Y'all be safe. Peace and stay sexy, baby.
Thank you, sir.
All right. See ya. Good call, man.
Very good. Could have been the caller of the night. There you go. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message. Catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.